Welcome to Ballbusters Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a Superchat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. And before we start live with the Ballbusters main event on Nathan Oakley 1980, I'm going to pass over to the Ballbusters panel so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the live show.
Again, because we did Coriolis again, and
we're going to do the Sea Sparrow, and then we'll finish up with the Coriolis.
Finish up? It was finished.
Yeah. Say again?
It was already finished, right?
No, we'll finish up with the Coriolis. Damn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're part of the team. We'll finish up with the That's the end. I don't know. It depends. If it goes to... It depends on if Ranty shows up.
Yeah, where is Ranty?
I don't know.
Just FYI, I've started recording, so just don't say anything you wouldn't want to.
When did you start recording?
Just now. When I said, I've just started recording.
That's convenient.
That's good, because we had some choice words before you started recording.
Indeed. That's why I gave the disclaimer.
Thank you, sir.
There's no second opportunity with Ballbusters. You know, there's not like another debate tomorrow. So if you're cocking up,
yeah.
Which often happens when you record and stream at the same time, so I like to start the recording just a little bit earlier. I mean, that's now evolved into a complete uncut and after show, right? But you know what I mean? That was the reason it started that way.
Yeah. Listen, I know we talked about it yesterday, and you said you were going to do that toady retard toe tag.
I will.
Did you say you were going to do it tomorrow?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. That's fine. I just wanted to check. I couldn't remember exactly what you said, but okay.
Yeah, I got to about 3 a.m. yesterday and hadn't done it, and it was just one of the things I hadn't done, and I'll get it done. Yeah,
you were on the BM furball. Wasn't that hilarious?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yes, that's the reason I didn't get the Toady toe tag done, basically.
Yeah, I know. I knew. I seen it. I got a notification from Nathan Oakley. BM furball is a moron. So I said, yep, there goes my toe tag.
Yeah. It was good fun. I debunked his begging the question fallacy from the chat and just spammed it like a chat troll. So you know, from watching,
and Randy said, I'm not asking that question from Nathan Oakley again. And you were writing in the chat, what? I was laughing hard, man.
Well, things like that are good in a way, because while it annoyed me in the moment, it generated Ranty an advert, right? So it was probably a wise move by Ranty.
Hey, Shane Cook and Ballbusters, my presentation. Where's Shane? Did he join?
No, not yet.
You there, Ranty? Bloody hell, it's been a long day.
Did he type something in Ballbusters? I got a message. Hold on. Where's the chat at? I hate this thing.
You hate everything. Everything that has to do with media, it's
a struggle for me with the computers and stuff. I just didn't grow up with it, man. Cut me some slack.
Wait, how old are you?
Yeah.
I'm older than you.
I didn't grow up with it either, but it was just starting to become accessible by most people by the time I finished high school.
Well, excuse me. Wait 1 second. Ranty's posted something. I'm finally getting it into chat here in a second. Do it.
Are you sure you're older than me?
no.
I was born in 1958.
Oh no, you're way older than I am.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so kind. Wow, don't sugarcoat it.
Oh, lay it up thick. Right.
Hey, Nathan, he sent a message that said, my presentation.
That was his message.
Yeah,
He's got a presentation in the chat. So I don't know. Does he want you to play it?
I think so. Then.
Oh, I see. He's done a pre-recorded presentation, maybe. Oh, well, that's useful for me to be able to review it 5 minutes before the live show. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Right. Okay. Well,
Boy, we're really taking. This is Ballbusters. I don't think he understands our editing standards.
No, I don't think he does. Right. Okay. Let's go and see what he's got. Ballbusters. My presentation. Smiley face. Okay. Unlisted.
You're just gonna play it, and then just hope it's right on point.
I mean, I'm gonna have a quick glance at it now. I'm just gonna make sure it gets an ad. I'm just making sure it gets an ad impression. So I'm letting Atheism play.
Okay, we won't mess with you. Go ahead.
Have a look.
Good evening, everybody. This is Ranty here, and I'm going to have to record this as a pre-record. The time now is 7:20. Ballbusters goes live in around about 40 minutes' time. But essentially, I'm not going to be around to do the presentation. However, I am going to actually put this presentation together right now and record it, and hopefully you'll be seeing this right now live with me. So, without further ado, the presentation.
We'll start it there.
Funny man. Well, I hope it doesn't have any porn or anything on it.
But it's 19 minutes.
Yeah, I doubt Ranty would do that to me.
How long is it?
19 minutes.
How many? 19?
19.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, 19 minutes, that's cool. Where do you want to play it?
We might run a little over today if we're gonna play. If I'm gonna do a short presentation, it's only gonna be 5 minutes, and then and then the Sea Sparrow and the Coriolis Effect. But that's up to you, man. What do you want?
I don't mind. I kind of suspected that, so what I did was I intentionally didn't publish the debate that normally goes out at 10, so I'll play that by ear, and then depending on what time we finish, when the live bit finishes, hopefully I will actually remember to publish it, because that's a disaster if I don't. But yeah, so I'll publish the debate, which is the reason I wanted to keep it to 2 hours, so 8 till 10.
Right.
But yeah, so if that doesn't pan out because it runs over, that's absolutely fine. There's no. I'm not going to be competing with my own show. That's the main issue, right?
yeah, right. Hey, listen. Don't so after each section, after the Sea Sparrow section, could we go to Discord and just talk about the Sea Sparrow? And then after the second section, Coriolis, can we do it that way or no?
Yeah, we can do it that way. Good job you reminded me, because I've not actually. Although there's people in Discord right now, again they can hear us, but not that matters as we're recording. Instant invite. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put an invite out.
Okay.
So there's a link into the show from the live stream, right? I just don't want it to only be open to Discord regulars, is what I'm saying.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last thing you said. Go ahead, say that again.
I just don't want it to only be open to Discord regulars. So there's obviously people in there. There's like Righteous Force and a few others in there. They can't talk, but they're listening.
Right.
But I want to actually publish the link. Well, you saying that has reminded me to publish a new link so that people can go to the info box when the live show starts and actually join.
Okay.
That's done now. So there's a public link.
You might want to state that when you start the presentation, but in the beginning, say, hey, we're going to stop after each section, and it's only two. Well, I don't know. Are we going to stop over after Ranty's section?
That's a very good point. What I might do is leave Ranty's till last, because if Ranty then happens to make an appearance after the fact, he can then answer questions towards his presentation. But if he can't, then it'll just go out unchallenged, and then potentially next Ballbusters will ask him to come on and answer any questions if there are any, or it'll get discussed on the debate. But I think as Ranty's not around, it might make more sense to do it last.
Do it last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, 2 minutes and we'll start. I'm just going to wait for my wife to grab this baby off me and then we're ready to rock and roll.
Okay. I'm scared.
I'm scared
too.
All right, let me see if I got everything ready to go. Water, check.
Ducks in a row.
Ducks in a row, check. Toe tags, check. Heat, check. Damn, it's hot out here today, man. My air conditioner can't keep up. It's so hot.
Yeah, remind me. If you hear any noise from my mic, just remind me, because if I'm not being vigilant with the mute button, I've got a whole bunch of fans around me now.
Okay.
Welcome to Ball Busters Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Now we're dropping anchor on Coriolis Effect, but I'll do a quick introduction to all of the Ballbusters. So we've got Betty Van Velsen, Quantum Eraser, Adam Meakin, and Paula, otherwise known as Bible Literalist. Very good to have you one and all.
Hello.
Hello.
Ahoy hoy.
I think Adam might be a mouth full of food at the moment, so if we don't get a hello from Adam. In fact, I'm going to...
Evening. Yeah, I just cleared me chops. Good evening, everyone.
Excellent. Now, we're also, in spirit at least, going to have a presentation from Ranty Flat Earth. Now, he was intending to be on the show live today, but has actually done a pre-recorded presentation. So while that was going to be on the top of the bill, it's now going to be pushed like the dead donkey it is to the back. No, I'm only joking. It's an absolutely glorious presentation, so definitely stick around till the end. The other thing is there's a public link in the info box below this video, so if you do want to join after each of the points that are raised on the show, we will open the conversation up to the public. So there are already a few people, regulars admittedly, in Discord, but if you do want to join and challenge anything that's being stated, you can. We'll raise the mic on the various guests after each point, and you can express your views given what we have been discussing. So I know there's a presentation that's aside from Coriolis and Ranty's presentation that's going to go first from John. But before you do, is there anybody else? I know we didn't have a proper official Ballbusters pre-show meeting, so is there anything else that goes before John, or are we happy to launch straight into John's pre-presentation, if you will?
When do we have an official Ballbusters meeting? We just do this off the cuff every time anyway.
And whoever goes before John. I mean, no one, right?
Nathan, I'm happy just to go ahead and maybe just interject with a mini presentation halfway through.
If you can do it specifically when he's made a really important point that needs rounding up, that'd be great.
He was forward, he got you.
Shout out to Eagle Plane and Anchor, who says shout out to Ron Burgundy for some reason. Thank you very much for the super chat, Eagle Plane and Anchor.
How ironic! How ironic that is. Just wait.
Should I bring you up? Should I present you?
We want no small talk?
No small talk? Well, that's kind of what I was asking. Is there going to be any small talk beforehand? That's kind of what I'm asking.
I'll give you a bit, because I did you see last night Chocolate on Iron Realm?
I did. I hung around the whole time. It was great.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah, one of my most favourite shows in a long time. It was old school IRM, just sitting there chatting, meeting someone, and the stuff he came out with, I just thought was, no. I thought it was just, because we chatted in the week and he didn't pull that out of his backside. It was just fantastic. where the conversation went. So yeah, shout out chocolate.
Yeah, shout out retracted. I got a bone to pick with him. I sent him a message. I got a bone to pick with him. I sent him a message. We'll talk about it on Monday. Me and Vanilla.
I mean, what I like about Chocolate, in the debate at least, is his ability to concisely sum up a subject in about 3 breaths and then just go back on mute and, you know, just leave you a bit dumbfounded or laughing or whatever. But it was nice to actually hear him chit-chat, you know, in a more open way. So it was really, you know, big shout-out to Chocolate, regardless of the retraction from QE. I'm going to give you a big shout-out anyway. It was great.
It was a tongue-in-cheek retraction.
Indeed. Shout out to Joshua Doyle, hitting the super chat. It says, get over the Trekkie wet dream, Globies. Indeedy.
Is that it? That's all the small talk, huh?
Everyone's excited for your presentation. That's what it is.
No, but that's nonsense. Don't be blowing some fake sunshine up the end. I know it'll get things going. For the females on the panel, let's try and guess their weights.
Oh, God. No, please don't. Or age. Let's not have any of the pre-show insults carry on into the live show.
All right, yeah, listen. Yeah, if there's not anything else, you can go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Let me know when it's up.
Yep. Ready to rock.
Yeah, so about 20 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, I said, wait a second. I heard some nonsensical comments yesterday after your presentation on Ranty's show, and it was the usual suspects. But they said some stupid stuff, so I want to outline them here to kick off the show. So we'll start with that knucklehead Gem Panda. This is what he said. Tim Osmond, you should rebut this with a 10-second presentation where you say logical and informal fallacies are only applicable in a formal debate. I couldn't believe he wrote it down, right? Hey, Crayon Muncher, logical fallacies encapsulate both informal and formal fallacies, doofus. I mean, just hammer the C4 fire. You say that's all you have to do is you just have to sit back and wait for them to open up their incoherent pie holes. And it indicts them every single time. And can someone use an informal logical fallacy in a formal debate, Gem? You know what you are? This is what you are. Right? Here's you. Everyone knows it. This is just painfully redundant at this point. And then we had Georgie, the Pontiff Maximus from Retardia. He had to put his 2 cents worth in. This is what he had to say. Energy inputted to the Earth from the sun reduces entropy locally here on the Earth. Oh, really, George? The sun is the greatest entropy generator the world has ever seen. You retard. You're a perfect candidate. I'll tell you what. Yeah, everyone knows this. I mean, midsummer in Texas, the sun will friggin' burn a tire clean off a tractor. Right? It'll destroy the roof of your car and the bonnet, right? If you don't do something to protect it. Why? Because it's increasing entropy. And you're a perfect candidate for my skivvies experiment, right? This one right here. So what I want you to do, I want you to take your old wrinkly ass on the first flight out of Egypt, wherever you're at, head on down to either Hawaii, Texas, or Florida. This is what we want you to do. From 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock for a whole week, we want you to strip down to your skivvies, the underwear, skivvies experiment, that's why it's called that. And we want you to lay out in the sun from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Now, we don't want you to vapor lock, so we'll give you a little bit of food. We'll definitely have some water for you. So each day we want you to do that. Now, at the end of the week, we want you to tell us if your skin has increased or decreased in entropy. Clown show. You know what you are? This is what you are. Kissing sisters with Gem. Mr. Closed thermos is an open system. I don't know which one's worse. I really don't. Do you want me to stop with a couple of these? You got any comments on this? You would just want me to roll?
No, I will stop for a little bit just so I can shout out a couple of super chats. So shout out to Joshua Doyle again. Thank you for a globe. Convince me the spinning monkey globe actually exists. Indeed do, with £6.66. Shout out also to Retro Bill. Chocolate saying versus Eric debate cage match coming soon. If you say so. Thank you for the super chat though, Retro Bill. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, I remember actually responding to Gem Panda's comment on the show live, because it was obviously from the chat. And I said, well, so are you saying if I go and post a logical fallacy or plaster one on a billboard, it suddenly stops being fallacious because it's not an informal debate? What an absolutely absurd comment.
Right. What an idiot, right? Unbelievable, man. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he said this. They're just displaying their ignorance everywhere. It's getting so stupefying now. It's almost laughable. So I love it. Keep on talking. What do we got? We skipped one. Okay, are you done with that?
Yeah, do you want me to put you back up again?
Yeah. What do you guys think of my skivvies experiment?
I don't want to bum, so I'm good.
This is an old one, brother. This is from old-timey. This is from my evolution days. They hated that skivvies experiment, boy. But I couldn't bring it out to a better guy.
Sorry, did you say that George had actually said that it decreases entropy? Reduces entropy? My God, George. My God.
Oh boy, he just doesn't understand it. I'm not going to explain it to him. So do I get a thumbs up for my skivvies experiment?
Yeah.
Panel members?
Yeah.
You like my skivvies experiment? Come on, I need some positive reinforcement with this to keep on using it.
Well, maybe you need to explain what happens if you lay out in the sun too long.
Oh, I need to explain that.
Yeah. Entropy will increase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they'll say that burnt skin is not entropy, I guess. I don't know.
Who knows?
Tell that to an ant under a magnifying glass.
All right, we ready?
I'm just pondering on it, John, just to, because I was trying to mitigate for him, trying to comprehend the point, and the only thing I can think is it is that obviously the sun's putting energy into the system, but all that does is allow entropy to occur with that energy that's been inputted, for it to allow entropy to flow again. So I still don't understand why it's considered how he's considering it, because
I understand, because he's a knucklehead, because he's thinking, well, plants use the sun's energy to reduce entropy. Yeah, but you forgot two important things, right? Number one, it has to be the right energy, the right amount, and you have to have DNA. That means you have to have the instructions on what to do with that energy, to capture it and to convert it into usable energy, right? That's what I'm giving him too much credit for that. He might be thinking of that. But this statement on its face is moronic.
Yeah, well, you've got it in bold type underneath. Greatest entropy generator the world has ever seen. Yeah, it's generating entropy increase. To say it reduces entropy is absolutely ludicrous. Love it.
Yeah.
Graham Munches.
Yeah, I think you are giving him probably too much credit there.
Yes, I know I am.
I think to suggest that he's thinking about a biological machine that uses that energy to just basically upgrade before entropy kicks in again, I think it's beyond that.
We might go over that. I don't know if I've gone over that before. I think we talked about Tulot in depth a little bit before, but we didn't really go down that road. I might do that here in the next few weeks, just to, I don't know. I'll think about it. So, moving on. Like you said, ironically, somebody, what did they super chat? Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, it was Eagle Plane and Anchor said to shout out Ron Burgundy.
Isn't that ironic? I had him in this presentation. As soon as somebody said that, I said, how ironic is that? Yeah. we had a comment from Globe Agent Rod Burgundy. You know what he said? The scientific method is a myth.
That's beautiful right there. Beautiful.
This is the point where these crayon munchers are at now. Now they must deny science. I love this. I seen that. I said, thank you. And it just so happened to be Ron Burgundy. Too funny.
Is that 3 for 3?
What's that?
You said you got 3.
I got one more.
Oh, okay. I only asked because Ranty's now on the call, which is perfect.
Oh, yeah. I seen him. We're going to get to him in a minute. I got the last one, the rumpus. Why doesn't high pressure flow to low pressure? Well, it does. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Meteorologists call the result of that wind. Blowbag. You friggin' retard, air is not the atmosphere. I can't believe you said that. I mean, I don't know. Go on. I'm speechless.
Yeah, he's just laying his foundation to have an argument about the pressure gradient. That's all that is. It's a ham-handed segue into saying, well, there's low pressure above the high pressure at ground level. You know, I mean, it's an easy rebuttal. You say, well, that's where the gases are generated in the first instance. I mean, that's the literal reason why that occurs.
Yeah, but that's not why. Look, listen to his statement. Why doesn't high pressure flow to low pressure?
It
right?
does.
That's what it does. It doesn't flow the other way. This is entropy. Unbelievable. Okay, I seen Ranty joined. Hey, Ranty, right? After bowel movement furball got compromised about 2 minutes after his presentation was over by Adam and Nathan, I figured it was free game to ask him anything. So I kept asking this question right here in the chat, which you didn't even mention, right? Here's the question I want answered. Since you didn't want to say it, I'm going to say it now. So BM, if we descended from monkeys, then why do we still have globetards? That's my question. So Ranty didn't want to post it, so I did. How about that? Over to you guys.
Hey, Ranty, by the way.
Hi, yeah, I've just joined off my phone, although I won't really be on very much. I've spent so much time on Flat Earth in the past couple of weeks. I'm going to spend the evening with the missus, but I've actually done the presentation. Did you see it in the chat on Ballbusters?
I've got it queued up. Are we okay to play it now?
Yeah, of course, yeah, whenever you want. Yeah, it's I just got in. The car broke down again today for another time, so I'm really pissed off. So we got towed back by the AA. So I'm kind of like just over it now. So I've just done a presentation. It's only about 15 minutes, I think. And yeah, if you want to play it, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's all to do with this: the Birmingham Telecom BT Tower in Birmingham. Now then, massive thank shout out to Level Earth Observer, who actually found this absolute gem, an absolute gem. Now, if there's, let's everyone go over here and subscribe. He has 1.7k subscribers. He's always rooting around and sniffing some juicy stuff out. So it's absolutely in everybody's interest to go over and support the channel, because obviously he wants to show what he's found. You can be the first guys to actually see this, and I highly recommend going over, subscribing, and seeing all the other good stuff that he has on his channel too. So Level Earth Observer. Anyway, so within the past week he's put this video out about the BT Tower in Birmingham, and it's golden, absolutely golden. I mean, it's more than golden, it's a slam dunk. So back in the 1960s, this BT Tower, I'll bring it up here, BT Tower in Birmingham was built. I think it was actually first started operations in, I think it was about 1966, or maybe even 1967, but essentially it was before the moon landings, let's just put it that way, hint in brackets, the moon landings. Anyway, BT Tower Birmingham. Here's this big eyesore over here. I'll just click this image so that you can see it. Quite a big building. As you can see, it's got these towers at the top. Obviously you've got your staircases going up. You've got all the antennas and everything like that, the dishes at the top up here. And there's a reason that they built it this high. They built it this high. Let me just zoom in. They built it this high, obviously, so they could communicate with other towers. Now, in order to communicate back in the 60s, they used to use microwave radio transmissions. So they would be what was the form of communication. So this tower could handle things like television and telephone calls, things like that. So in order to transmit between this tower and another tower, let's say this tower over here in London, let's show you what this one looks like. So in order for these to communicate with these dishes, etc., all around, they needed a direct line of sight. Simple as that. Because the form of communication that they had required a direct line of sight. It's not like using the Curvature Calculator where they include this 76R nonsense. Essentially, the waves that they were using had to have a direct line of sight. Now, I'm going to show you this lady here. Her name's Molly Mackenzie, and I'll give you a little rundown about who she is and what she's done. So if we go over to her LinkedIn page, this is Molly Mackenzie, and she's a chartered civil engineer from Nottingham in the UK. Currently, her position is Regional Director for the Institute of Civil Engineers from July 2015 to December 2018, 3 years, 6 months, East Midlands and West Midlands. If we go down to her education, you can see that she has a Master of Engineering, Civil Engineering in 1998-2003 from the University of Bristol. So she is highly, highly qualified. And when she released this video over here on, I'll show you in a minute, on the ICE website, we'll see what she has to say about this tower in Birmingham. So, 2015 to 2018, Regional Director, Institute of Civil Engineers, East Midlands and West Midlands. Now, if we go over to the ice.org.uk, which is for the civil engineers, what you're going to do is you're going to listen to what she has to say about this tower in the background. So obviously this is a video that you can watch on YouTube. You could search it out, or you could go to this site here and look it up. But essentially she'll be talking about this tower. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
Before the introduction of the fibre network, telecom towers across the country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
So essentially she's just said exactly what I just said before. Let me just rewind it a tad so that you can listen to that again. Just listen to how she phrases this actual structure.
The backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
One last time.
When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
Cool. So, there we have it from the horse's mouth. This lady who has a master's degree in civil engineering and is also was the regional director of the East Midlands and West Midlands when she did this video, telling you that the Birmingham Tower had a direct line of sight with the London Tower. That's what she told you. That's what she said. And there's a reason that these buildings were built so big. We'll just take a look at them. These ugly structures. They were built this big for the exact reason that she's just said. They needed direct line of sight to communicate with each other. Okay, let's go a little bit further. We're going to go to 2 minutes and 40 and listen to what she says here.
Force of it swaying the structure. A stable platform is necessary so that the microwave dishes mounted on the side of the structure keep that line of sight with the remote transmitter they are communicating with.
And one last time, so we hear that again.
A stable platform is necessary so that the microwave dishes mounted on the side of the structure keep that line of sight with the remote transmitter they are communicating with.
Okie dokie then. So she's doubling down. They have direct line of sight with each other. Right, let's have a look at these buildings. So, I've actually already plotted them on. The one in Birmingham and the one in London. If you want me to scroll in just so that I can show you this, I really don't mind. Just bear with me. So there's the BT Tower in Birmingham. You can see it here on Google Earth. And if we scroll over to London down here, we have the BT Tower of London. So let me just show you this too. And here it is. Right, so if we do a line measurement on this, we're going to go to properties, and let me drag that across so that you guys can see this. And we'll go to the measurements. It's 100 miles. It's actually 100.5 miles, but Google Earth just says 100, so I'm not too fussed about the 0.5, but just for absolute clarity, it is 100.5. Anyway, okay on that. Let's have a look at the elevation profile. So, from the Birmingham BT Tower here, we're looking around about 128 meters above sea level. That would be the floor. So the floor would be 128 meters above sea level. And then obviously you've got all this terrain up and down. You've got quite a steep hill here, which goes up to 167 meters. And then obviously all the way down here. And then the BT Tower in London is way down here, so just some 28 meters above sea level. So it's quite a way lower than these mountains and stuff that are around in this location here. Well, what I've done is, let's go back to the BT Tower of Birmingham, and let's go to its properties and see how big it actually is. So the BT Tower in Birmingham is to the roof 152 meters. If we go to the BT Tower in London, to the basically the top of the antenna is 191 meters. So we've got all the details that we need here. We've got the heights of the buildings, we've got the heights above sea level, and we have the terrain in between. Well, I've already prepared this so that you guys can have a little look. And what I've done is I've scaled the BT Tower in Birmingham and I've scaled the BT Tower in London to their relative heights in relation to this graph. So 152 meters and 191 meters, and I've placed them on the floor where they would be. And as you can see, if we get the line curve out, the line measure out, let's do it in the colour. It doesn't really matter. And obviously there's where the dishes are there. There's where the dishes are here. Oh, look at that. Dish to dish. And it really is, it's close. It's close with this building here, this hill here, but they just clear it. They just clear it. Now, if we go back to that Molly Mackenzie in her video, she actually states that they actually wanted to build this tower taller, but they were refused permission because of the planes that were flying in the vicinity, and they were worried that the planes might strike them. So what they needed to do, being engineers, was they needed to work out the absolute minimum height needed to clear a direct line of sight between London and Birmingham. And that's what they did. And that's why they were able to come out with a measurement of 152 meters. So what we have here is a direct line of sight between London. The problem is, this is on a flat graph. This is a flat graph. This isn't taking into account any curvature of the Earth. Now, let's have a look at the Curvature Calculator. We're going to put in, well, let me just reduce that back to 100, because I'm not going to argue over half a mile. Distance in miles, 100 miles. The viewer height in feet is 918. Let's just double check that with meters, 280. Now 280, we get that value because the height above sea level is 128, and the building itself, the structure to the top, is 152. So that's 280 meters. So if you're on the top of the building, 280 meters above sea level, and you're trying to look at Birmingham, if you're trying to look at London, which has a height of 191 meters plus 37 above sea level, which would be 228. The problem is the drop. The problem is the drop, because we are talking about line of sight. We're not talking about an observation, we're talking about pure line of sight. So the geometric drop, using the geometry of the Earth, the geometric drop is 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers drop. That's how much the ground has dropped. If you believe in a sphere, let's go down to the little ball here. This part of the sphere, the drop between point A and point B, this drop is 2 kilometers. The problem being is that the tower at London sits just 228 meters high. So how are they having a direct line of sight? Let's go back to this. How have they got a direct line of sight between Birmingham and London if there's a 2 kilometer geometric drop, physical blockage between this building, which would be some 2 kilometers down behind these hills? How have they got a direct line of sight? They cannot have direct line of sight on a ball. That is an absolute fact. They cannot have direct line of sight on a ball. They can only have direct line of sight on a flat plane. Pure and simple. And as you can see, it's just high enough to get over this hill, just high enough for those dishes to communicate with each other. And that was the bare minimum that they needed back in the 1960s. Now these civil engineers back then, they didn't need to account for Earth curve. They weren't thinking that some 50 years down the line, this Earth curve calculator and flat versus globe was going to explode onto the internet. They're engineers. That's all they are. They're engineers, they have a problem, they figure it out, and it works. And it only works on a flat plane. It cannot work on a globe. This would not have worked. If they had to build it for direct line of sight on a globe, this building over here, this Birmingham building, would have to be over 2 kilometers high to have direct line of sight with London. Now this is the most conclusive proof you are likely to come across ever. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, this destroys the globe argument completely. Absolutely. This is probably, like I say, as I said it earlier on, this will be the best flat earth proof that you're going to see, most likely, on this channel all year. And let me remind you guys, I really want you to go over and sub to Level Earth observer who brought this to the attention of everybody. And it's been a pleasure showing this to you guys because, I mean, this is undeniable. This isn't an observation. This is absolute, concrete, line of sight told to you by the engineer over here, Molly Mackenzie, who has a master's degree, master's in civil engineering, and at the time was the regional director of the Institute of Civil Engineers in the location. And he's telling you, way back here, let's go back, let's just listen one last time. Let's just listen one last time.
Telecom tower. Before the introduction of the fibre network, telecom towers across the country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK. The country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
And I think that will just about do it.
Excellent, 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 Ranty. Hello.
Comments?
Well, while we're getting our mics all sorted and coming off mute, there is a Discord link in the info box below this live stream. So we have got a couple of people in Discord already, but hopefully I'll just check that Ranty's still with us. Can you see him in the icons? Is he still here?
No, he left.
He left? Oh, in that case... I'm not going to open up the public line because there's not a Ranty here to challenge in that regard. That's precisely what I didn't want to happen. But there we go, such is life.
You opening up for comments from the panel here?
No, I'm opening it. Oh, sorry, from the panel. Yes.
Yeah, I got a comment. Obviously, Ranty hasn't been keeping up to date with the ball-tard's rhetoric, right? Because drop doesn't mean elevation, Ranty. What the hell are you thinking?
I don't want it.
You're way off base. See, we live on a level curve, sir.
No,
So,
not having it. Not having it.
I
Right?
don't know
No.
what you're thinking.
Just don't do that, please. I beg of you. Just give it as it is. Don't give the sarcastic globe-tard rebuttal, even though they're not here and Ranty's not here to address any remarks. I'm sure he'll address them on Monday on the Flat Earth debate. But basically, the demonstration of the elevation profile in Google Earth shows that it's flat. The engineer is saying that you've got direct line of sight, and the only thing they're having to clear is the topography itself. Both her testimony, the towers, and the map that's showing the elevation profile all say one thing: the Earth is flat.
I agree. I'm just getting you ready. It's the same thing that we deal with every day. They deny the 8 inches per mile squared vertical drop. It's a level curve. That's what they do. So I don't know.
Yeah, contradiction in terms isn't going to rebut this. Sorry. Anybody else on the panel got anything for remarks as opposed to come back? Ranty will have to deal with that on Monday.
There. Go ahead.
I've got a couple. The first is what John was referring to there, and what I think in previous ballbusters with when we were talking about sea level and they were talking about its distance to the Earth. It's the reality of that explanation and having to change their straight line graph, which they argued was just a distance to the Earth, to apply it to that situation forces them not to have a straight line x-axis. It forces them to actually put it in, and it's that example that shows the ridiculum of what would be line of sight as affected. And it's that they were mathematically correct with regards to the x-axis, just taking it as sea level. You could mitigate for that, but to then put it into that scenario, it's impossible not to either apply the numbers to the graph output or to adjust the x-axis. Either way, it shows that there's no line of sight. That's my plus point. The negative one is you kind of need Rob Durham for this, because he's done it with radio and microwave stuff. I know he's doing it with FE Core, and they've been testing long distance stuff. And you'll like this, I think, Nathan, because it's not 7/6R, but there I can't remember exactly what it is, but it has got another magical R in there. It was something like 3/3/4 R, but apparently because of the ionosphere, radio and microwaves bend in a not the same way, but in a similar sort of fashion as they travel across the Earth, is part of the mitigation for some of the odd distances that you do see with regards to radio and that transmission.
And I'd like that because presumably the rebuttal to any claim in that regard is, oh, that's very interesting, let's define terms. What's this R value and where did it come from? So yeah, they'd need to prove R to have it in their equation to beg the question and get around the fact that they don't have a direct line of sight by bending the radio waves in this case. Yeah, prove R. But yeah, good input, Adam. Did you want to make a conclusion though? Because I want to keep these demonstrations with a succinct and concise conclusion from people on our side of the argument. And while you've given both sides in a detailed way, I want you to dumb it down a bit and give a conclusion, if you don't mind, Adam.
I think, put simply, you've got to deny reality. If you're a baller, you've got to ignore the argument you were given in the previous Ball Busters regards to the graphs that are on Google Earth and how they're applied and what they mean, because in no sentient person, unless they're going to deny the reality of those telecom towers and the reality of what the expert said, can't have that with that level of drop that has to exist in your fantasy world.
And therefore...
Stop leading me, I don't know.
And therefore it's flat as a pancake. There's no drop.
Sorry.
The Earth's a plane. We're not on a ball.
That's bleeding obvious. I didn't need to say that.
It's not. It's not. Sorry to drag this out, right? So I had Robin Poe on about 4 years ago talking about a 115-mile radio transmission that she hooked up over in Ferrari in Italy, and her superior came down to her and came down on a ton of bricks. I don't like it, he said, when she basically pointed the transmitter back at the point source at the main transmitter, or transceiver, whichever the case may be, and she got a perfect signal. Now the book says do it with 30-mile relays. She got a 115-mile connection, crystal clear, where all the relays she couldn't get to work because of all the topography in the way. And they said, take it down, I don't like it. Now, she didn't make a conclusion. Now, sorry to bring my family into this, but I showed the video to my mother, and she didn't get it. Because when it came to the point that she said, I got a 115-mile connection, she sort of laughed. Because to her, and to me, it's bleeding obvious what she's saying. But not necessarily to the audience. You have got to actually lay it out in words of one syllable and say, this means it's flat.
Well, okay. If I'm going to be geeky boy then, this means in no way, shape or form could this transmission be occurring across a supposed ball of circumference 25,000 miles. It's just impossible because of the 2 kilometer drop. It has to be, as you see it, as it is, observably and obviously flat.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it. Paula, do you go next?
Yeah, in the chat, they kept saying, repeaters. They're using repeaters. They have repeaters in them. It's like, what part of line of sight isn't clear? I mean, you don't need repeaters if you have line of sight and you have a strong enough signal. And that's why they built them as high as they did, to get line of sight. And they had enough power to get from one tower to the next. That was the whole point. If they needed repeaters, they wouldn't have had to make the towers that tall. So I don't know how repeaters debunks anything that was said in that video.
I didn't know that was being said in the chat, so perfect. So yeah, go and check out Flat Earth UK number 4, I believe, with Robin Poe. And that's precisely what she's detailing. The fact that the book says use repeaters, but there wasn't any necessity. She got a perfect line of sight without any earth curve obstruction. Flat plane. Simple. Betty?
Yeah, I think that everything is pretty much said. So yeah, they don't build these towers that high and on high points. So yeah, they want to have connection with each other. So I think that's Ranty made a great video.
Is there anybody else on Ballbusters that's joined that I haven't spotted? I don't have a list when the screen's not up. If not, we've heard from Johnny Globehead QE. Any chance you can put a positive remark against it, please?
That was a positive remark. Like I said, it went back the same old thing that we've been talking about for weeks. They deny the quintessential tenet of their religion, drop. They think it's a level curve. That's what it really comes down to at this point. It's not a level curve because those are contradictions, and the Earth is flat. Moreover, the next presentation is going to be talking about, guess what? Line of sight with radio frequency transmission. Get ready.
You're on screen. We're ready to go.
We're ready right now?
Yep.
The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM Block 1. Here's a picture of it, folks. And the most important thing in this picture, let me circle it over here again. Do you see this little contraption down here? These are the target illuminators. Guess what they're shooting out? Pencil beams of RF radio frequency. And it must have line of sight. Love it. Target illuminators. I don't care where this missile is. This is the argument right here. General characteristics. This is from the Navy itself. .mil. Primary functions: surface to air and surface to surface radar guided missile. If you guys catch that, let me say it again. Primary function: surface to air and surface-to-surface radar-guided missile. Bistatic semi-active seekers in the nose of a missile receive a reflected signal from a target that is being illuminated with an RF signal transmitted from a fire control radar on a standoff platform. For example, aircraft or ship. Now, in our example, it's a ship because we're talking about surface-to-surface and surface-to-air. Such systems require that the platform maintain line of sight to the target until it is engaged by the missile. Ship-based missiles, Standard Missile, SM, and the NATO Sea Sparrow AW missiles are examples of such semi-active mode. The NATO Sea Sparrow requires a constant signal for homing. The range of the missile is more than 35 miles. So we have the target being illuminated with a 2-degree RF radio frequency pencil beam, which has to be maintained, that is, painted on the target until detonation. At a more than generous 50 feet elevation above sea level, that's the target illumination radar height, the target should be hidden behind 463 feet of curvature. Therefore, please explain how you can have line of sight 35 miles away on a spinning ball by showing how a 2-degree RF pencil beam can penetrate 463 feet, that's 141 meters of target hidden height, through a wall of water 26 miles in length. P.S. The 35 miles is lowballing. The official max effective range is classified. It's much, much greater than 35 miles. So, either A or B. The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM Block 1 exists, or the spinning ball religion exists. Both can't be true. This is a true dichotomy. Simple logic, a disjunctive syllogism. Both can't be true. The end. The knighted spinning ball space monkeys live in a fairy tale. See if you can follow this. The range of the ESSM Block 1 is 50 kilometers. Actually, like I said, it's much further. It's classified. Number 2, The target must be illuminated by an RF pencil beam via a target illumination radar on the launch ship for the weapon system to engage. Ergo, it must have line of sight. Number 3, the target illumination radar and the ESSM Block 1 must be on the same launch ship. We're going to talk about that here in a few seconds. Number 4, surface targets, ships, and this includes sea skimmers. That's its primary mission. Missiles that are coming at it from 10 to 30 feet off the deck or off sea level are engaged by the ESSM Block 1 from launch ships. Number 5, the horizon at 50 feet elevation, according to the curve calculators, begging the question, by the way, is 8.65 miles. Ergo, the limit of line of sight on a sphere is 8.65 miles at that elevation. Number 6, if the ESSM Block 1 can engage surface targets from ships at anything greater than 8.65 miles or 13.9 kilometers, and it most assuredly can, then the Earth must be flat. The prosecution rests simple. They live in a fairy tale. The end. So the comeback. But the missile and the target illumination radar don't have to be on the same ship, QE. Factually incorrect from Raytheon. Unlike the RIM-7 Sea Sparrow missile and the ESSM Block 1, what we're talking about, Block 2's active seeker will support terminal engagement without the launch ship's target illumination radars. Between the semi-active mode capabilities that the Block 1 brings and the active capabilities that the Block 2 will bring, the consortium's warfighters will have the best of both worlds when it comes to ship self-defenses. Do you see what this means up here? This means that the RIM-7 and the ESSM Block 1 must have the target illumination radar and the missile on the launch ship because it's creating a juxtaposition between the Block 2 and the ESSM Block 1 and the RIM-7. You see that? The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, this is from the government, docs.house.gov. The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM Block 2, an improved short-range missile, ship-based missile that counters attacks by multiple cruise missiles at low altitude, as well as adversary jamming and the radar deception. It will be fielded in 2020 with 80 missiles going to the fleet. So, please tell me how the ESSM Block 1 has been engaging surface-based targets at more than 50 kilometers with the target illumination radars on the launch ships for the past 15 years, right? Because 2020, according to my watch, hasn't come yet, right? It's not here. The first production of the ESSM was delivered in late 2002 to the U.S. Navy by Raytheon Missile Systems and has been in full operational use in the Navy in the U.S. since 2004. And that's from Navy.mil. Kaboom! The highly venerated fairy tale spinning ball space monkey religion just crashed and burned with such ferocity it would make Steve Austin's $6 Million Man Crash and Burn look like a fender bender. Comments, questions?
As I say, there's a link in the info box below this video if you want to join. There is a couple of people in Discord and we'll come to them after we've had the opinions of the people on the panel. Absolutely awesome. Love it every time. Similar to Ranty's. Very cool. Who wants to go first? Betty, I nominate you.
Oh my god. Well, thanks. Yeah, I've heard of this proof a couple of times, and they always come back that John cherry picks from all these sources, but then every time he has a defense, but people don't tend to read correctly. I think that it doesn't say it directly. But it says it indirectly, right, John? If you scroll up a little bit.
What's the problem? Go ahead. Where at?
There is no problem, but the fact is that they cherry pick. They think that you cherry picked things out of these.
They don't know what cherry picking means. What do they say? I'm cherry picking.
Well, it's a bit about the thing of the line of sight and stuff that they say it is
I'm with you on that bit, Betty. That was going to be my comment. He annoys me sometimes, John, doesn't he? Because I'm sat here and I'm reading it. I'm put my analytical head on, and I'm thinking, actually, doesn't actually specifically state that the painting of the target is coming from that specific ship. I thought, I'll ask him that in a minute, and then he scrolls down and smashes it. So yeah, nice mate, because I'd seen that before and I'd not bothered to look into the exact detail of what he'd said, but like I say, I thought I'd pick fault, but then you kicked me in the nuts, you annoying git. So well
That's
done.
what I do.
Yeah,
Cool.
but also the sentence, but that you had without. You have the block 1 and then the block 2 that says something different, that you don't have that radar signal on the ship, right? There you go. Yeah.
You talking
But they
about
cannot. They read that differently somehow, I think.
that? I don't know how you can read it differently. It's black and white.
Yeah, I know, but they want to see it directly. They want to see directly that it's either there or it isn't.
Yeah, this is too easy to reconcile. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let's see if we can. I have a couple other things. Let's see.
Well, just before you do, have you got any remarks, Paula?
No, nothing to add. Just watching the chat the whole time, just claiming that every single detail that he went over was wrong in some way, but there are too many to list. But I mean, they didn't care, that, if you took some bit of information from this site and some from that site, as if that matters. It's all the government, right? It's their ships, and they're not going to put everything in one spot necessarily, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. So there you go.
I got another good one right here. Let me read this from Missile Threat, CIS.org. The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile. Now, this is talking about the Block 2. Currently in development is the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile Block 2, which is expected to feature an active guidance system that both sends and receives EM signals to improve its flight. This active guidance system will reduce the ESSM's dependence on ship-based illuminator guidance systems. Turn out the lights, the party's over. Such as the U.S. Navy's SPG-62 radar. Illuminators bounce EM signals off targets to paint them to provide terminal guidance for the interceptor. It's over. Thank you very much. I'll be in the area all week. Have a nice day.
I think we have a contender in Discord that wants to maybe say something about that.
Yeah, we'll come to Discord. We will come to Discord in just one moment once John's wrapped up. But I'm going to shout out a couple of super chats, specifically the one from JG. It says, Raytheon still never been sued for misstating specs of ESSM Block 1 by the dozens of countries that have purchased them. Interesting point. Thank you very much for your super chat. Also, a shout out to Joshua Doyle again, who says Globe destroyed. That came just after Auntie's presentation. Wholeheartedly agree. Thank you very much for the super chat, both JQ and Joshua Doyle. Okay, so should we move to the Discord server, or did you have something else, John?
Now I got citations till the cows come home. I don't need them. All I needed that one from the one above, but they're toast. It's over. But go ahead.
Okay, well, I think Zanic's been in the live stream the longest, so if we go in reverse order and go to Zanic first. So let's see if we can hear him first of all. How are you doing, Zanic? Can you hear us?
I gotcha.
Hello, welcome. Did you have a question?
So are we taking into account with Earth curvature? Are we taking into account what is the drop comparison to what actually is hidden? So the destroyer with a 150-foot observation deck, and especially on line or on ground, on land target being 300 to 500 feet above sea level, it'd be very easy to keep line of sight going with that type of target.
How so? Hold on.
Both conditions are wrong. What are you looking at? Some other presentation?
Well, just let him explain. How so? If you've got a wall of Earth
you just
curve.
mentioned that the line of sight can't be kept because you're going through 800 foot of Earth curvature. But are you talking about drop, or are you talking about what's hidden?
We're talking about the Earth curve obstruction between you and the thing on the other side of it that's dropped away from the position of the boat that's painting the target and has got line of sight. So what I understand is
so that means
how so?
That means we're talking about hidden. which is different than drop. So if we're looking at a
He
500
did. Sorry, Zanik.
foot
Sorry, just
observation-
Hold
one
on a
thing at
second.
time.
Hold on a second. He said that the illuminators were 150 feet high and the surface target height was 350 meters, if I'm not mistaken. Where'd you dream that up?
I said feet. Both the cases were feet. Observation deck 150 feet. On land, target can be over 300 or 400 feet easy.
No. They're not 150 feet, Holmes. You saying this is 150 feet off the water? The target illuminator?
Yeah, many of the radar or observation equipment is over 150 feet above.
No.
surface water.
No, the search radars are that high. The illuminators aren't. There's a picture of it right here. You sharing my screen?
You'll have to check the live stream, Zanik. It's on screen now for the audience.
All right,
This
got it.
isn't
The illuminator's
150
at the gun level,
feet.
gun height.
Yeah, we're not. This isn't a search radar, son. These are target illuminators. Let me see if I can get another picture of it. Wait 1 second. So you just dream those numbers up.
No. If you're going on land, you're not going to find targets that are right on the beach. You're probably
No,
looking
we're
at things
talking
a little
about
farther.
sea
Okay,
skimmers,
both
son.
of you, hold on. So it's just like the debate, Zanik. Claim, support. So do you want to give us a citation that says that these target illumination radars are 150 feet above water?
Everyone can agree that targets on land are going to be more than sea level.
Just let me finish my
How high
statement,
above
Zanik.
cities are
Zanik,
500
can I
feet
finish
above
my
sea level.
statement, please? Do you mind? Do you
Official
have a
statement.
Do you mind?
Cities-
Do you mind, Zanik? I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
here's
whether you
an
like it or
official
not. If this
statement for you.
takes the next 10 minutes,
Cities inland
Zanik,
are greater than 300
Zanik, you're not going to rumpus the shit out of me. So please, if you don't mind, I will say my statement. Can you provide us with a citation that specifically states that the target illumination radar on the Block 1 ESSM missile from the Sea Sparrow are at 150 feet above the sea level? Thank you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let me go do some research on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. Go get the citation and look at this picture right here. Is this 150 feet above sea level?
You tell me how high it is above sea level.
You tell me if it's at 150 feet. My cat is Ernest Borgnine. And
How much of the hull is
Man, be quiet for a second. I'm not done yet.
Hold on.
He's just rumpusing.
The surface target. Can you
I'll-
shut him up?
I'm going to close this line. He's just rumpusing every point you're making. And in this point, I'm going to take the opportunity to shout out S Angels. Imagine the missile onboard gyro trying to self-correct for curvature. Lol. Thank you for the super chat, 5 Angels. Go ahead, John. Try not to interrupt.
The main target for these sea sparrows, guess what they are? They're sea skimmers. The sea skimmers travel at 10 to 30 feet above sea level. Do you hear that? So the target height is 10 to 30 feet. Sorry, it wasn't 10 to 15, 10 to 30 feet for sea skimmers. So I don't know. You're just making shit up. You must come from MSU.
If they're sea skimmers, what are they using for guidance?
Did you not listen to the presentation?
Nope, he didn't.
Okay, right. I'm done with
No,
you.
I
Zanik.
did. You
No
talked
worries.
about two different types of guidance systems.
I'm done with you.
One
Zanik.
being line of
Yeah,
sight,
I'm done with you, Zanik. You didn't even listen to the presentation. That's blatantly obvious. So, who else we got? We got Wave Motion. How you doing? Can you hear us? This is your moment.
Come off mute and share your pain.
He's come off mute. Maybe he's got a microphone issue because he's not making any. His little ring's not moving along. We've got one other person in Discord. I'll leave you open, Wave Motion. If you do manage to sort your mic out, feel free to interrupt. Righteous Force, can you hear us? Did you have something to add?
I guess not much. I'm just checking the Discord, and I asked them to come and check the show to debunk these things. And the ballers say we've debunked all your arguments, so I guess that's it.
Yep, just a hand wave dismissal. It's either that or no, or nah, or you don't understand. So that's the top 4 now, right? Riveting. I mean, you guys are Rhodes Scholars. Must be friggin' pre-law. Stanford or Harvard. Joke.
Okay, I'm happy to move on.
I'd
Oh, go on, Adam.
again, it's just a bit of maths to support the sea sparrow thing. And I said before, I think Zanuck was talking about, you can mitigate with the top of the ships being 150 foot high, whatever. But the picture clearly shows that the thing that's illuminating the target is underneath. You can see there, look. Now, let's just say that's 15 foot below where the missile's actually coming out. And you can see another platform behind. So let's say that's another 15 foot above. Now, that's 30 foot. Now, the difference between painting the target on the ball and painting the target on the flat earth where they're working is that 30 foot on a flat earth probably makes very, very little difference. We're talking about just perspective and detail. But if we're talking about painting the target across a supposed ball, then that 30 foot makes quite a difference. Now, if we say where it is now, say it's 50 foot above the water, then the geometric hidden is 303 feet. If we go up to say the 80 feet, it's 241 feet. So that's another 60 foot of any target that if you were a ship, that's pretty much most of any small vessel that you actually would have disappeared. So if this was important for painting the target, i.e. if we were on a ball, I'm pretty sure the military would have sighted that thing just on another deck a little bit higher. But they haven't, and they can still maintain 30 plus mile distances.
Absolutely correct. If we were on a ball, this particular part of the mathematics would be absolutely critical. Not even taken. Not even an issue. Not even a concern. It just works. Any more on Sea Sparrow missile? Let's do it. Coriolis. Just for the audience's benefit, again, you can join the Discord server. There's a link below, and you can challenge what's come up here. We're dropping anchor on this subject. It's going to be coming up more and more. So let's do it. Coriolis Effect. Spinning ball Earth. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Yeah, this thing's not spinning, folks. But like you said, we're dropping anchor here. So for the Coriolis Effect to exist, you must have necessary conditions: 2 differing frames of reference, 1 rotating coordinate system that's non-inertial, the Earth, and 1 non-rotating coordinate system, inertial, the atmosphere, and anything in it. From Douglas Segar, Introduction to Ocean Sciences, Critical Concept Reminders. The Coriolis Effect. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air, that's atmosphere, and water masses, clouds, water vapor, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently. Because freely moving objects are not carried with the Earth as it rotates, they are subject to an apparent deflection called the Coriolis Effect. To an observer rotating with the Earth, freely moving objects that travel in a straight line appear to travel in a curved path on the Earth. So this is over right here, but we'll continue. In other words, anything not tethered to the Earth is freely moving. Number 2, the object in question, not physically attached to the rotating coordinate system, Earth, appears to deflect, i.e. if it moves independently of the rotating coordinate system from a vantage point anywhere on the rotating coordinate system, Earth. So if the Coriolis Effect exists, and this is very important, with respect to the Earth, then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles nonstop, traveling at 500 miles an hour airspeed, with both locations roughly to 35th degree north latitude, i.e. both allegedly spinning at 860 miles per hour, should be 1.5 hours. But it's approximately 4.5 hours. The Charlotte to Los Angeles flight, airspeed 500 miles an hour, ground speed 500 miles an hour, Plus, you have to take the rotation speed coming into its face because it's traveling west at 860 miles an hour. Like I said, the rotation speed equals 1,360 miles an hour. Simple math. Number one, two differing frames of reference. We have the Earth and the atmosphere and everything in it. And number two, the plane in the atmosphere is freely moving. That is, it's not attached to the rotating coordinate system and is flying in a straight path. In other words, based on the law of non-contradiction, the Coriolis effect with respect to the Earth and the Charlotte flight at 1.5 hours are either both true or both false. The flight is most assuredly false. Therefore, the Earth is not spinning. Ergo, the ball goes by way of the dodo bird, or you're a stationary ball geocentrist. Voila. The only way the above can be refuted is if you're of the position that the atmosphere spins with the Earth, right? Just pounding the Coriolis effect right in the chops. You got big problems. Because number one, if you state this little crayon munching stuff, you have to face number one. Please explain the Coriolis effect, how it can exist when the necessary conditions for it to exist are two differing coordinate systems or reference frames. Like I said, one rotating non-inertial, the Earth, and one non-rotating inertial, the atmosphere, and everything in it. Let's take a look. We'll take a look at this again. I posted this 25, 30 times now. Let's just go ahead and read it. In the inertial frame of reference, the upper part, the black ball moves in a straight line. However, the observer, red dot, who is standing in the rotating non-inertial frame of reference, lower part of the picture, sees the object following a curved path due to the Coriolis. Just like I said with the multiple definitions just a few minutes before, right? The important things, the only thing that causes the Coriolis effect, the necessary conditions, are the inertial frame of reference and what else? The rotating non-inertial frame of reference, A and B, right? So all we see here is the ball moving through the inertial frame of reference, the atmosphere. It's going straight. However, the observer that's rotating in the rotating non-inertial frame of reference sees the ball as it's curving. It's only an apparent deflection. Why? Well, the ball's going straight, but the observer is curving, right? That's why. Moreover, can anyone show me an equator here? No. What about latitude and longitude lines? No. What about directions, north, south, east, and west? Did it say anything about these below here? No. It's tantamount to the reason why they don't put gummy bears down in here. Why? Because they have nothing whatsoever to do with the Coriolis effect. Nothing. If you bring up anything other than the inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference, it's nothing but a red herring fallacy. That's it. Any of your pressurized, open container, air pressure cabins, anything like that, anti-Coriolis paint, anything you bring up other than the inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference is just a simple red herring fallacy to the argument of the Coriolis effect. That's it. If you do, like I said before, if you do still hold to this nonsense, which we're going to pummel even further below, then you're in violation of the law of contradiction. And this is just the first one. We're going to start piling them up here. Number two, show the experiment where gases or a gas rotate in lockstep with a rotating solid body just 5 centimeters above the surface, then provide the mechanism. You do understand that gases have no intermolecular bonds, right? Obviously rhetorical. So do gas molecules attach to the Earth and each other by Velcro, superglue, molasses, pixie dust, other? And gas molecules, crayon munchers, that is air, vibrate and move freely and randomly at high speeds. And we got a good visual for you retards. So, the University of Purdue. Let's take a look here. We got the microscopic view of gases over here. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like these things are attached to each other. So how could they spinning in lockstep in a certain direction while they're going many different directions at high speeds? Can you tell me that? Can you reconcile that? Next for your on card, can you reconcile married bachelors? Clowns. Question: how can gas molecules that make up the atmosphere that move freely and randomly at high speeds, yet, according to the intellectual elite baltards, rotate in unison, not moving freely and randomly at high speeds, with the Earth from west to east? Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 2. Number 3, please explain east, north, and south surface winds on a spinning ball that has an atmosphere that's air, wind, and gas rotating with it from west to east. Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 3. Bonus question: how can you have different wind speeds moving in different directions simultaneously at differing elevations of the atmosphere, all the while the atmospheres are collectively spinning east in unison, the same? So how can different be the same? Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 4, and married bachelors are blushing at this point. These are contradictory statements, these two right here. Number 1, the atmosphere spins with the Earth, and 2, the existence of east, north, and south surface winds. Which one of these do you think are false? You got to make a choice. It's one or the other. Not even bringing up the differing wind directions at differing elevations of the atmosphere, just this one. We'll keep it simple for you. Over. Moreover, following the Mensa Baller's yarn, every cubic nanometer of atmosphere traveling horizontally from the equator to the center of rotation must have differing tangential speeds. And every cubic nanometer of atmosphere rising elevation from each respective horizontal cubic nanometer of atmosphere must have differing tangential speeds. In fact, the higher the elevation, the faster they'll need to travel to keep up. And all of this rolling along at differing speeds in unison east. Again, violation of the law of non-contradiction number 5. This is so far beyond preposterous ludicrousness, absurdity, evolution, whatever that is, multiverses, and married bachelors are blushing. And does anyone know how far up this increasing speed rope-a-dope fairy tale spinning atmosphere ends? I'd like to see that. It'll give a whole new meaning to guillotine wind shear. Goodness gracious, people. And like I said previously, are the gas molecules attached to each other by Velcro, superglue, pixie dust, molasses, other? And where is the energy coming from for the continuous shot in the arm injections needed to keep each successive cubic nanometer of atmosphere higher elevation brethren in tow? Alice in Wonderland is more tenable than the prestigious Baltard spinning space monkey religion? The prosecution rests. Simple. You live in a fairy tale. The end. By the way, the noble spinning space monkeys are so confused at this point. The ICD-10F72 codes. The actual argument isn't that the Coriolis effect doesn't exist. We know it does. We've seen it on a merry-go-round. Or that planes are apparently deflecting. That's not our argument. Planes don't apparently deflect. Okay? Just to let you know. But anyway, the actual argument, like I said previously, with the wiki GIF, I'm using the Coriolis effect causes. That is, the conditions that afford the existence of the Coriolis effect, the two differing frames of reference, to pummel the spinning part of the exalted fairy tale spinning Baltard space monkey religion. It follows like this. If the Coriolis effect is true, and we know it is, and if the Earth is rotating, which you knuckleheads purvey, then the Charlotte to LA flight at an airspeed of 500 miles an hour must be 1.5 hours. You can't get around this. It's not and never will be. Ergo, the Earth is not spinning. Like I said, one of my favorites, hurricanes. So you're saying that hurricanes spin in opposing directions in the northern versus southern hemispheres respectively due to the Coriolis effect, eh? I'd sure like some of the angel dust lace shrooms the distinguished space monkeys are snorting. We're gonna clobber this to death. Please focus on apparent deflection, not real, appears, does not actually in the following citations. Again, from Douglas Segar, Critical Concept Reminders. Because freely moving objects are not carried with the Earth as it rotates, they are subject to an apparent deflection. To an observer rotating with the Earth, freely moving objects that travel in a straight line appear to travel in a curved path. Are they actually traveling in a curved path? No, because it's an apparent deflection. From the University of Oregon, the effect of the Coriolis effect is, again, an apparent deflection of the path of an object that moves within a rotating coordinate system. The object, like I said, does not actually deviate from its path, but it appears to do so because of the motion of the coordinate system, right? The University of Florida parrots the same definition from the University of Oregon. Like I said, apparent deflection does not actually. It appears to do so, right? You guys following? Let's get a couple more. The Coriolis force is an imaginary force because objects affected by it are really following a straight path. It's echoing everything from above. It is an apparent deflection we see from the vantage point, frame of reference from the rotating Earth. And that's from the Utah State University. California State, the Coriolis effect describes, surprise, an apparent deflection, curving of an object traveling in a straight line. Let's finish it off. This should pretty much do it. From encyclopedia.com. Within its rotating coordinate system, the object acted on by the Coriolis effect appears to deflect off its path of motion. This deflection is not real. It only appears to happen because the coordinate system that establishes a frame of reference for the observer is also rotating. Like we've shown you in the GIF above from Wiki and has echoed every single citation I've just given you. You see all these? Do you see the problem coming up? Here comes the punchline. Ballers, you need to turn away. Right? I predict projectile vomiting if you continue watching. So, what do we got here? We've all seen these before, right? I want you to, after this is over, I want you to call the local meteorologist and challenge him with this, right? We've all seen this, whether it's from the nightly news, whether it's from the Weather Channel, the 30 other weather channels that are on right now. We actually, important word, actually see these directions, right? Counterclockwise in northern hemisphere, right? Clockwise in the southern hemisphere. And there's some cross coverage, like I said, some northern hemisphere, they switch over. They're anomalous, but it does happen. That's not the important point. Don't lose the fact that we are seeing these actually spin, right? You see the problem? What does an actual spin counterclockwise or clockwise direction have to do with the Coriolis effect, which is an apparent deflection? Not real, appears, does not actually. What does that have to do with it? Answer key. Absolutely nothing. It's the exact opposite. I'm camping out right here. In other words, how can clouds be apparently deflecting actually? In other words, let me ask it again. It's so stupid. How can clouds be apparently deflecting actually? Come on, I want to hear the answers to this one. Violation of the law of non-contradiction on nuclear steroids. That's all I got to say about that. This is tantamount to giving a presentation on quantum numbers with excruciating details on SPD and F orbitals. They're not orbitals, by the way. Then concluding that they are responsible for the creation of facultative anaerobe woodpeckers. Wake up, people. Time to rise and shine. Alice in Wonderland is more tenable than the highly decorated ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. The prosecution rests simple. You live in a fairy tale, the end. P.S. Let's finish it up with the folk called pendulum. From plusmass.org. Once you set one in motion, its direction of swing will rotate at a rate of about 0.2 degrees every minute. But in fact, it isn't really the pendulum that's rotating. The pendulum is swinging back and forth in exactly the same direction. It's the Earth, which is rotating underneath the pendulum, which makes it appear that the pendulum is in fact changing directions. So, I shouldn't have any questions on why I'm bringing this up, because for the past 10 minutes, we've been talking about this same scenario. What is this talking about? This is talking about the Coriolis effect, the two differing frames of reference. If that's true, if this is true, right, then why couldn't we just hover in a helicopter in North Carolina for 3 hours and catch a Dodger game? It's as simple as that. Number two, if the Foucault pendulum is legit, which denotes two separate reference frames, that's the key here, right? We got two separate reference frames. We got the pendulum is swinging back and forth, and we have the Earth, which is rotating underneath the pendulum. Two separate reference frames. This is the Coriolis effect, essentially. If the Foucault pendulum is legit, which denotes two separate reference frames, then guess what? Shocking. Get ready. Then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles nonstop, traveling at 500 miles an hour airspeed. I know you heard this before. With both locations roughly at the 35th degree north latitude, that is, both allegedly spinning at 860 miles an hour, should be approximately 1.5 hours, but it's 4.5 hours. Charlotte to Los Angeles flight, airspeed's 500 miles an hour, the ground speed's 500 miles an hour, plus the rotating speed coming in its face we have to account for at 860 miles an hour alleged rotation speed. That equals 1,360 miles an hour. Distance between Charlotte, North Carolina and Los Angeles, 2,115 miles. Simple math. Flight time must be 1.5 hours. Actual flight time, 4.5 hours. Does this 1.5 hour flight time ever happen? No? Then say bye-bye now to the illustriously dignified and knighted ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. Thanks for your ear. Have a nice day.
Excellent presentation. So what we're going to do next, another reminder for the people in the live stream that there is a link below. So if you do want to challenge anything that's come on, I think that's the final bit of the presentation from any of the Ballbusters people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ballbusters, but we'll get some opinions from you guys after I've shouted out some super chats. So let's do that now. Big, massive thank you again to Joshua Doyle. Or was it Way BMX first? Yes, it was. Way BMX saying Tim with I think a picture of a black woman and then a female sign. Makes no sense to me, Way BMX, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat. And Joshua Doyle, thank you very much indeed for smashing the super chat. From the donating Russian bot. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you very much. Shout out to MC Universe. We are all just prisoners here of our own device. Yeah, welcome to the Hotel California, right? Shout out to... who was it? The Eagles, yeah. Anyway, shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes for the super chat. He says, thanks for the... I can't read this with the glare in my face. The presentations. Hit the super chat, everyone. Thank you very much indeed, Unicorn Laser Eyes, for the super chat. And again, Joshua Doyle. Haters gonna hate every dollar Nathan earns. Well, maybe. But thank you very much for the super chat, Joshua Doyle. Really appreciate it. Right, should we start with Paula? Are you there?
Yep. Not much to add, though. How many times can we say actual is not apparent? I can't think of another way to say it. I mean, you would think even intuitively, if somebody saw the wiki GIF of the ball on the roundabout, that's the same view you would have looking down on the two counter-rotating hurricanes. And so that, by even the most intuitive, simple definition, is not the Coriolis effect. You have to be on the roundabout to see it. So you can't look down on hurricanes to see them from the side. It's just impossible, but I don't know, again, how else we can say those things. But other than that, nothing really to add.
I mean, I've got one thing to add on the differing frames of reference as depicted in Wikipedia, but we'll come to that at the end. Do you want to go next, Betty?
Yeah, I still don't understand why people can't see this. I mean, if the Earth is turning underneath you, every time you jump up, you should for longer periods of time, not as we can do, but you should be able to see that, and the flight should be, one way should be shorter than the way back, or you would never even get back. I mean, I don't understand this, why these people don't get it, but they still do believe in the so-called pendulum. So it's a contradiction. It's double think. That's how I see it. But then again, yeah, we get all these arguments still, and they will never change. So it must be a belief, must be a religion, I think.
Yeah, Baltard spinning space monkey religion.
Absolutely, yeah.
You still here, Adam?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've probably got a long-winded one. John, can you just pull it back up and go to number 2? I agree with. There appears to be an inability to grasp the basics with regards to the roundabout and throwing a ball concepts, but when you get into the Georgie Hutty Ducks scumbag territory, they often present the Earth's rotating along with the Earth kind of nonsense to kind of muddy the waters and sort of word salad it out. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate the point that John showed in the presentation, and probably to use a bad analogy, what they're kind of suggesting is that if you've got a spinning top, for example, to kind of reverse it, and you're whipping that spinning top, you'll never get the top spinning at the speed that you get the whip going to generate it. But first and foremost, that's initially what they're suggesting, which is fine because both the whip and the top are solids. But John, if you can just scroll down to your molecular structure.
Is it the number? You said number 2? Is it this one?
Yeah. Just scroll down a little bit now to where the molecules behavior.
This one?
No. You know the little GIFs with the molecule behavior.
You want me to pull that up again?
Yeah, just that little GIF with the 3 different.
Okay. Nathan, can you get this on screen?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So if you're then going to say, give all of that, the whipping top analogy, and it requires billions of years of the Earth spinning to keep and generate this motion within the atmosphere, that's fine if you look on the right-hand side, you're whipping something that has some substance to whip. But if you were to take that same whip and run around your garden whipping it as much as you could, do you think you could generate any movement of those molecules represented on the left-hand side? They're off on their own. As Nathan often describes, they're freely moving and independent. At best, your whip might grab a couple of million of them as you run around and whip it quickly, but you're never, ever going to generate anything dynamic that would act on that system. And so, to summarize as Nathan acted earlier, it ain't moving.
Have we got anybody else? I keep forgetting it's because Ranty's dropped. Is that it?
Is that good?
I think that's it. We'll go to the Discord server. And,
I thought you had something to add, Nathan. You were talking about.
Yeah, can you go back to your the picture from Wiki?
Yeah. Yep. Wait one.
No worries.
Get out of here. Hate that thing from Skype. They need to fix that.
I actually find it quite useful running the show. It's actually incredibly useful. Nevertheless, so in this description, it does not in any way allude to the atmosphere being attached to the rotating non-inertial reference frame. it just does not describe that. But that's the first go-to in the doublespeak. So when you come to the conclusion that you'd have these reduced travel times, their get-around, or drone that doesn't have the Earth rotate underneath, as described in this description, they have their first jump to a single reference frame, which is they will assert, well, obviously the Earth and atmosphere are attached. Now, obviously that's just been ripped to shreds by both Adam and John, but my point is still valid in the regards to the description on screen. It doesn't allude to this roundabout having a force field around it and the molecules of air which are freely moving in all directions in the inertial reference frame. But in spite of that, it doesn't in any way allude to them being tied to the non-inertial reference frame. They're not. They can't be. They're gas. But that's what they'll describe. So I'll be looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get something from the Discord survey. That's all I needed from that Q.
Hey, Nathan, yeah, listen, like I said, don't let these people red herring this thing, right? They're going to bring up all manner of stupidness, right? The inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference is the argument. Okay. Anything else, conservation of mass and conservation of energy, anything else, friggin' the color of the planes, anything else is just nonsensical buffoonery. Doesn't have anything to do with this topic.
Okay, well, I've raised the mic on Beano. How you doing, Beano? Hopefully you can come off mute and say a quick hello.
Hello.
Hello, very good to have you.
Hello. Yeah, nice. I've been listening for quite a while now. It's very interesting. Not gonna lie.
Anything
people
to add or question?
Seem to know your stuff and what you're talking about.
I'm
a flat earther.
No, I suspected as much. That's okay though. We'll try wave motion again just to see if we do get anything out of him. We've not got a full panel, so it's not like I need to boot you to the after show stream if you're just here to listen. But ideally, we just want people in the live stream that will actually query or question what's going on.
We don't have a full panel in Discord. Why not?
I don't know. Maybe there's some sports event.
Weeks we get hundreds of these crayon munchers, friggin' keyboard warriors. Well, now's the time. Come on, share your pain.
Did I actually shout out the people in Super Chat? I think there's just been another one. Joshua Joyle, thank you very much indeed for smashing the Super Chat so many times. I really, really do appreciate your support. Unicorns and leprechauns and dragons exist. I did the maths at Vinnie Mac.
Agreed.
A turd burglar. I should really read these in advance. Thank you very much anyway for the Super Chat. Right, we've also got Righteous Force in the... How you doing, Righteous? You got anything to add?
I guess I could read Puppy Lover's proof of Coriolis.
Sure.
He says bullet deflection, storm rotation, and maths. That's all I could get out of these guys.
Well, but bullets, again, this came up the last time the Coriolis Effect was on, right? And it kind of frustrates me because the claim that bullets are being apparently deflected is akin to our argument when we debunk it with the aeroplane. So it's useful to tie a globe head down. If they assert it, I wouldn't assert it because it's absolute nonsense. You know, the snipers aren't accounting for the Earth rotating underneath their bullet after it's been fired. It's just complete hokum. Anyway, if it's asserted to you, they're essentially agreeing to the constituent parts needed to have Coriolis, which is to say that the Earth travels through the inertial reference frame and the non-inertial reference frame continues to rotate underneath, causing the apparent deflection of the bullet. Well, that's them conceding to those two reference frames, and if the Earth rotates underneath the bullet, as asserted by the fundies in the chat, then the Earth rotates underneath the drone, a helicopter, an aeroplane, and anything else in the inertial reference frame. So that's a big problem once you've got them to concede it. So I quite like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that the ball is thrown from the footballer's hand and the Earth rotates underneath, causing the goalposts to move just enough for the ball to go in. Well, that's another assertion of the two separate reference frames. Well, if the Earth rotates underneath a ball, as asserted by pseudoscience practitioner Neil deGrasse Tyson, then it rotates underneath an aeroplane. And you end up with a necessity to have 1.5 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina to, where was it again?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So there you go. And we don't. That's the bottom line. So it's useful, that bullet example, but I don't like it because it's simply not true. I'm not a sports fan, and it doesn't often come up. No one quotes Neil deGrasse Tyson. We use him as a hostile source. And just for anybody else who likes to accuse people of cherry picking and using references instead of citations, because we use Neil deGrasse Tyson's example of the Earth rotating underneath precisely the assertion being made to have an Earth-based Coriolis effect, it doesn't mean that suddenly we agree with every single word spoken by Neil deGrasse Tyson. We simply use it to tie the globetard to the actual assertion being made, because in most instances they'll simply claim that the Earth does not rotate underneath and the atmosphere travels along with the Earth, even though that's physically and it's just impossible from any standpoint. But that's what they'll assert: magic force fields, Earth with atmosphere velcroed attached to it. But that doesn't give rise to the Coriolis effect. You don't have a Coriolis effect in that scenario. So it's totally bogged down in doublespeak, and it's knowing which bits that you want to actually latch on to, like the pendulum. The pendulum's a demonstration of two reference frames. I like that one because in most people's mind, they can undo the nonsense that is the original assertion you're using to get the globe head to concede two reference frames. So the pendulum, after the fact, can be disregarded for most people once the argument's done. In other words, you're not suddenly confirming to people that bullets have got an Earth turning underneath them. They haven't. And the same applies to the pendulum. But it's their way, it's our way of getting them to concede the actual needed bits of the Coriolis to have it in the first instance, to then prove why it doesn't work. It's extremely convoluted. But to summarise and hopefully end for you, Righteous Force, when it comes to the Coriolis effect, it's very simple. You need a non-inertial and inertial reference frame. And as the ball, bullet, or anything claimed to be travelling through the inertial reference frame moves in a straight line, the non-inertial reference frame rotates underneath. That's as simple as it gets. Coriolis itself is incredibly simple. Most, if not everybody watching, can understand the simple concept of Coriolis effect or Coriolis force. But the application thereof to the Earth is clouded in bullshit and doublespeak, and it goes on and on and on. And I know Paula's favourite is probably the apparent slash actual deflection of hurricanes. And you're like, hang on, we're talking about an apparent deflection here. What's this hurricane spinning being brought into the argument? It's absolutely ridiculous. But there we go. Hope that's brought a minor degree of clarity to people watching and addresses your point, Righteous Force, about bullets and snipers claims from the chat.
Oh, and if you haven't been keeping up to date, hold on a second, Righteous Force. If you haven't been keeping up to date, the ballers en masse have exiled Neil Smoking deGrasse Tyson and collectively have thrown him under the bus.
They don't like him. They don't like him confirming two reference frames. Is that why?
They don't like him at all.
Yeah, because it's only the high priests of pseudoscience in the heliocentric world that get away with the actual declaration that conforms to the definition in these instances. So in this case, you'll only find people like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying Coriolis as it is in the heliocentric world. He says it like it is. The ball travels through the air in a straight line, and the Earth rotates underneath. So in his tweet, he's calculating how much the Earth has rotated underneath to cause that football to go in the goal. So he's saying it like it is, but only he will get away with it as a high priest of pseudoscience, because he's not got me to say, oh yeah, so if the Earth rotates underneath, at however many degrees declared in your tweet, then why doesn't it rotate underneath the hair drone? And suddenly he'd be fumbling and crapping his pants because his example falls to pieces when you compare it to anything else in the non-inertial reference frame. But who's comparing it? His tweets are no doubt completely controlled and moderated, not by him, while he's watching a football game. So none of that stuff's ever going to stick if you even try to throw it at the wall. But here in the debate, they've got that to contend with always. That's going to be the first thing they come up against. So what do? Well, they've got to double speak it and decry the pseudoscience priest himself, even though he's really saying it like it is. You're not going to televise an incorrect assertion based on the Coriolis effect applicable to Earth as a sphere. That's not going to go on TV. They're not stupid. They're not going to have it like easily debunked with a Google search and a wiki lookup like we've presented here with those 2 reference frames. He's got to make the Earth rotating underneath be part of that example if he's describing Coriolis in a tweet. You can be damn sure the people we debate won't be doing that, though. They'll talk about the atmosphere travelling along with it, because that's what's actually representative of reality. Not travelling atmosphere with Earth spinning, because that wouldn't give you Coriolis. Just no spinning, and Earth doing what it does, which is nothing in that regard, not spinning, and the atmosphere doing what it does, expanding randomly in all directions, the dynamic system creating all different directions of surface winds. None of these things are conducive with a spinning ball Earth. It's absolute horseshit. But here we are, with them saying that their force field of non-open, completely open system manages to give rise to a condition that won't give them Coriolis, and that's why we have Coriolis, according to globe cards.
Yeah. I can't believe it. You encapsulate it, man. It is absolute word salad, contradictory gibberish. And what I like to do to the flat earthers out there, go ahead and call your local meteorologist. I've written mine. You know what I got back? Crickets. That's what you're going to get. But challenge these people, man.
Well, speaking of word salad, I see Zanuck is unmuted.
Go ahead, Zanuck.
Wait. So I have a question. Does all of that mean that the Earth is not spinning?
That's correct. Thank you, Chocolate. You live up to your reputation precedes you. I should have done that, and here you are to do it in the most eloquent way as you do. So thank you. Yes, absolutely. The bloody conclusion. Let's not forget. All of this is demonstrating that the Earth is not spinning. We're not budging a smegging inch. None of the effects that would be generated by a spinning ball Earth are observed, and all examples given on the debate at this ground level will involve a set of circumstances that don't give you Coriolis effect, and the High Priest will declare that we have it, but it contradicts itself when it comes to air travel. All of this points to us not spinning. Thank you, Chocolate. Yes, nice summary. Right on cue.
No doubt.
And well done on Iron Realm Leader, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really well done.
Didn't you have a bone to pick with Chocolate? He's in the Discord server. He's effectively a member of the public right now.
I'd like to keep that private.
Oh, no problem.
We'll go 2-on-1 with him, Chocolate, if that's what's needed.
Might get it in the after show. We'll see how good the memory of
That's
the
like bringing
panelists.
the pigeons to the cat.
Okay, I'm gonna before we go to Zanuck, I'm going to do a couple more super chats. So, where were we? Joshua Doyle again. So, that shit is flat. NDGT. So, in quotes, that shit is flat. I'm not sure if he did actually say that. I'm sure it was that stuff. But there we go. A misquote from Joshua Doyle, but it's attached to a super chat, so thank you very much indeed. And then thank you very much for the super chat. Another retarded atheist talks word salad. What a screen name. Who says hamburger, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, that makes no sense, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also a shout out to MC Universe. Thank you very much for the super chat. You wouldn't be at almost 900 if Globies were right. I don't really follow. Does anybody understand what that means? Wouldn't be at almost 900 if Globies were right.
Shows, maybe?
Maybe. Oh, 900 debates. Yeah, maybe that's what it's referencing.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, MC Universe. Yeah, damn right. If there was some conclusive globe evidence, we wouldn't still be here. You know, we on the panel and most debaters, including Chocolate, who just spoke a moment ago, we all know it's flat. But, you know, there's plenty of people who don't, which is why there's 900 of them. But yeah, you're right. There wouldn't be any debates if there were conclusive proof of a sphere, and there isn't. That's the bottom line here. And this is typified by the demonstration of zero evidence of spinning, just a load of word salad. Good timing to Sick Bronx, S1K Bronx. Maybe I've butchered that. I'm sure it means something. But thank you very much for the super chat. So that's why NASA got a full mock-up of the ISS underwater, full of cameras and scuba divers, astronauts on wires, models, green/blue screen, CGI, and Disney. Makes sense. And then a smiling, laughing face. Yeah, check out Dilly Gill, my favourite videographer on YouTube in regards to debunking that particular aspect of NASA and their cinematography fakery. But DILLYGILL. And Dilly Gill has done in-depth analysis of what NASA do, how they do it, and I'll parrot some of his sentiments in the regards to NASA being on the absolute cutting edge of cinematography, like way in advance of what they have in Hollywood. You know, they are the cutting edge, and in terms of what they're presenting us, they're just simply playing their cards very close to their chest. But he went through a lot of the STS missions. His most popular video, I believe, is called "The Space Shuttle is a Zero-G Plane," and he goes through the whys and wherefores of producing both live footage for an audience and then after the fact CGI renderings for a wider televised audience. He goes through it in really great detail. But check out Dilly Gill on YouTube. He's an excellent YouTuber and he covers exactly that subject. My favourite. Well worth watching. I've watched every one of his videos at least twice. So that's Dilly Gill. Right, Zanuck, did you want to add something? Alrighty then.
He might be having mic issues. Zanuck, leave and rejoin, because his icon was flashing.
Not on server mute, is he, by accident? I'll just double check him. No, he's definitely not muted. He can talk. We might get a bit from Zanuck. So I'll do a quick shout out to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show, which goes out daily now at 10 p.m. UK time. Time currently being 9:50 or 9:51 UK time. So in about 9 minutes from now, there will be a Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show on Nathan Oakley 1980. So be here or be sphere. We will be rounding out this particular show in 10 minutes. But as always, there is a link to the Discord server. It's active for about 24 hours, so if you're watching this on the re-up after the live show is over, then the link will stay live for about 24 hours if you do want to join the Discord server for future reference. But in the meantime, for the next 10 minutes at least, if you do want to challenge anything that's been said on Ballbusters so far, you are more than welcome to join the public link and express your views on the shape of the Earth, as long as it's specifically relevant to what Ranty or Quantum Eraser went through in this particular Ballbusters. Maybe start getting some closing remarks from the Ballbusters panel.
Nothing to add, really. It seems pretty clear to me.
He ain't spinning. I agree.
Yeah, nice proofs. Airtight.
Adam's normally got something to add.
Well, I was just musing. Rather than try and summarize, I'd probably try and summarize the whole thing when you get into Coriolis with people. And I tried to address one issue and a second issue, and they'll give a plausible, and it's a ballistic, and the airplane flight's different. And it doesn't really matter, because on all of these things, when you address them, they provide another re-description of the Coriolis, reapply it, but it always contradicts whichever one you started out in the argument with them with. And it's one of the most frustrating arguments to ever have with ballers, because they flip-flap from one to the other, and it is total nonsense most of the time when you have Coriolis, as they try to support it one way then the other.
I agree. We have got a new member of Discord that's just joined, so I'll just do a quick shout out and we may get some closing remarks from the public chat. We'll see. But shout out to Tony Marks. for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed for your support. I really do appreciate it. He says, don't feel 800 mile east to west winds when I step outside, nor do I see clouds always moving in west to east direction with supposed spin. Only conclusion, FE is winning. We ain't spinning. I love it. Thank you very much for the super chat, Tony Marks. Really do appreciate your support. So, new guest. Sorry, I haven't got your name up. Let's go and get you. Can you hear us?
I like that, Nathan. FE is winning, we ain't spinning.
That's right.
I might ponce that in some bits in the future.
Yeah, that's class. I like it when the super chats are really well written because it makes it nice and easy for me to read. So XLR8, is it? How are you doing? Can you hear us? Excellent. Well, this is going swimmingly with the live with the live interaction. Maybe it'll be a bit better in the after show. We shall see. So, shout out to Yuya for the lollipop super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much to everyone actually who's been supporting me via Patreon recently. It's been excellent. The support's been outstanding. Thank you. I'm overwhelmed with it. And again, to all the people in the Ballbusters live stream who've supported via super chat, I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, again, a thanks to you, Yuya, for the lollipop. Huey, do you want to give us some rounding out comments, and then hopefully within the next 5 minutes we'll actually round out the show and move to the after show. I'll ask everyone watching on the Nathan Oakley channel to stay tuned. See if we can get your private discussion between Chocolate and yourself. We'll see.
Sure. This is my final roundup. Come off mute and share your pain. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
JQ, can you hear us? And we've also got Boo. How you doing? While people are messing around in the Discord server to sort out their audio, I will say, as I say, if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, there will be an after show to follow, so do stay tuned. I'm going to round out and thank the audience. It's typically where we get all the people piling in just as I round out the live show. Got another, hey, good boy, how you doing? Can you hear us? Everyone's prepping for the after show when it's not live. You know, so you get a really boring, slow, drawn out ending to the show as we say hello to people joining in Discord. Bum.
No, it's not bad. It's a screaming testimony of the Baltard's position. Thanks. We already knew, by the way.
Isn't that an argument from silence fallacy?
Say that one more time.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who have joined us live in the Nathan Oakley stream for smashing the super chat. Thanks again. And hopefully liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Stay tuned if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley stream, as there will be an after show to follow. A massive thank you to Paula, Betty, Quantum Eraser, Adam, and Ranty Flat Earth for making this Ballbusters panel possible. And again, a thank you to all of the people who joined us from the live audience in the Discord server. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next Ballbusters. Well, that was good. Apart from the
that was
end
a
of the
funny
live
end.
So I give you a weapon. I give you a freaking weapon of, argument from silence, and you turn around and you shoot me with
it. I ended the show on that note deliberately. I'm a bastard, aren't I?
A friggin' bastard, you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta stop doing that. You're gonna disown me eventually one day for doing it. I know. It's like
I loved it, man. It was cool. It was really funny. Thanks.
it's like in Kill Bill when whenever the student plucks out the eye of the master. Or am I just imagining that? It's a long time ago I watched Kill Bill.
Yeah. Are you saying you plucked the eye out of me?
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, it was good, man. Just give you another friggin' weapon and you just turn it on me. Yeah, all right. I'm sure you and Adam and Chocolate will have a lot of fun together.
What's your beef anyway, Fruity?
Well, wait a second. Did he call me Fruity?
Fruity. Fruity. In Nottingham accent, we drop a lot of our T's. So it's fruity.
Fruity, like water?
Fruity, as in, what's upset you? What's rattled your cage, youth?
Is that like water?
Yeah, water. Yeah.
Water.
We invented the language. You can't pick us on it.
Nah, I just created some. I call it self-created drama with Chocolate. I love him to death, but I had to do it.
You know what it is, Adam? I didn't shout him out on your show yesterday. That's why he's mad at me.
Oh yeah, you didn't, did you? I didn't.
I gotta shout him out, man.
Is that what it is? Handbags.
It's an argument from silence fallacy.
Yeah, I could tell by your tone that was the moment I definitely needed to round out.
You freaking bastard, you! You and Chocolate shouted at everyone. I was waiting for the Sisters of the Great Hope in Iowa. Nope, want to erase your chop liver.
Oh man.
Come on, Xanax.
There,
I was going to defend you,
You
Chocolate, but
you guys
poor
there?
form, sir. Poor
Yes,
form.
we hear you now. Now the live show's
Oh,
over.
God.
Well done,
Yeah,
Sonic.
you're killing me on that whole dissertation on the complete misunderstanding of a fictitious force, an apparent force, and an actual force. Isn't it obvious to you guys? Don't you feel like you're actually missing something when you start thinking about it? The atmosphere does not have to be tied to the Earth directly. You don't have a little bit of wonder of how this all works? Because it seems like you're very confused.
Earth's not spinning.
Well, let's just talk about if it was and why the Coriolis Effect would work and how it works. If you are on Earth and it is spinning and you traveled north from the equator, there would be an apparent force, not an actual force, an apparent force shifting you to the right due to the conservation of linear momentum. That's simple.
Here we go with the conservation.
It's that simple. It's that simple. Really, it is. What's happening? Who was that?
That's me. Sorry, the debate just started and that was the ad that played before it. My bad.
Yeah, okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Sarah said I had a mic problem. Is that better? Can you hear me okay?
You're
Yes, we
fine.
can hear you fine.
Okay. So I like to go back to the analogy and the comparison of picture a small hot tub spinning on a turntable because that has a medium in it and it's rotating.
I can't be in a hot tub.
Hear me out for a second.
I'm trying to
We have
concentrate.
a medium that's in the hot tub. It's spinning it's not tied to it directly, but it is spinning. You can have jets turning on and currents going different which directions. But if it is rotating and you were to throw one of those little torpedoes across the hot tub, it would have an apparent deflection to the right if it's spinning counterclockwise. That's how Coriolis works.
Can I just get a bit of detail? You know this hot tub, it's spinning. I assume the water in it's no longer flat in relative
Let's
to
just
the
keep it simple
turntable.
for now. We're spinning in a circle
No,
on a
it's important
turntable.
in the
The
analogy.
water
If
is
the
spinning
initial
with
concepts are
the hot
absolute pile of
tub
nonsense,
rotating.
then there's no
However,
point
there could be currents. You could be moving.
Go on, Adam. He's not going to let you. Just get your point out.
You know, if we're going to have the analogy, we were on the bathtub, but suddenly the water is angled away and it's no longer flat. It's a slightly obtuse angle. to my eye line. But carry on with the examples,
So
from
there
that
could be
point.
hold on. Medium. The medium. The medium is spinning with the hot tub, and we're spinning around. I throw that torpedo across to my buddy across at a diagonal or across the hot tub, and it appears to deflect to the right. That is correct. From my non-inertial point of view, it is actually moving to the right.
Is that in the wonky water?
No. Why make it more complicated? We're just rotating, and you don't have to have atmosphere.
You're trying to draw an analogy to what I experienced,
God,
but
if you stop
experience
me, I can
wonky
explain.
water.
Stop rumpusing, please. If you had a merry-go-round without any water, the same thing happens. You see that in the Wikipedia diagram and the Wikipedia example. But you want to have a medium in there, so I put a hot tub on this turntable. So now we have a medium that's not tied to it, but is moving with the hot tub. And you push that little torpedo across the pool, and it deflects to the right. Now, that is an apparent deflection. For you in the hot tub, it is actually a deflection. But above the hot tub, looking down on this hot tub, on the roof, looking at the hot tub, it's not deflected. It's going nice and straight. That's the difference between apparent and actual. It's actually deflected from your reference point, but from above, actually, it's not. That's why they call it an apparent, because it has a reference point. I don't know how much more clear I can make it.
Zach, so how are you going to prove this then?
Should I take my hot tub and put it on a friggin' rotating surface?
Yes, please. So, like always,
everybody knows
Zanik,
the merry-go-round.
you're getting a reply, everybody and now rumpusing. Zanik, yeah, we heard.
Yep.
You going to let anyone else talk, or are you just going to carry on indefinitely?
No, I wanted to get that point across. Hopefully you got it, but
we got it. So, that's your detailed verbalization of this scenario. Can you show it us? I back your claim. Support it.
You don't believe in the Wikipedia diagram there. You don't think that actually is reality.
Sorry, there's no description of a hot tub in that diagram. There's no hot tub in it. Do you want to show me where it says hot tub?
Does it need to have a hot tub?
Yeah, that's pretty specific to your example, Zanik. Yeah. So, yeah, if your example's got a fucking hot tub in it, I'd expect it to be in the example if you're going to use that to say, oh, well, you disagree with the example in Wiki. Well, it doesn't mention a hot tub. You did. So, no, I don't disagree with Wiki. I'm saying... If you'll let me, but clearly not. So I'll just shut you up with my little mute button because you're a total wanker who needs to obfuscate every single rebuttal while you claim we rumpus you. We all listened. We heard your nonsense. Now we're asking you to back it up with a demonstration. The wiki page doesn't have your demonstration. It doesn't have a hot tub. Part of this aren't you getting, bonehead?
It doesn't have to have a hot tub. It can be the example on Wiki. The point is, from your inertial frame of reference, from your non-inertial frame of reference, it appears to deflect to the right. Do you not agree?
You're not showing us. You're not showing us. You're not showing us. Your example had
it's not appearing to deflect.
Yeah, you are just going to rumpus, aren't you? Yeah, so any rebuttal that comes your way, you won't let come through the airwaves? Just going to carry on talking indefinitely, right? Rumpus the living crap out of every rebuttal. Very telling, Zanik. It's because you're having your ass handed to you. And this little demonstration that you're doing now proves to the audience that you're getting wrecked. That your double-speak nonsense has no cowbell. Has no cowbell. And you want to obfuscate it by talking over the fact that you don't have any cowbell. You can't demonstrate your example. You don't have anything other than the things we used, which is a Wikipedia example that doesn't include hot tubs spinning and torpedoes going over the top of them. So no, Zanik.
Not over the top, in the water, in the medium.
Yeah, so show us.
Okay, I have to put my hot tub on
boom! Bye-bye Zanik's example. When I say, oh, right, so show me then. And then there's a little silence while he shits his pants because he's got nothing but his words.
I got everything that you've just brought up to my situation here. Listen, you've already talked about the wiki. You always accept that. You can't accept the fact that how...
Let's do it again. Show me spinning hot tub with torpedoes. Can you back your bullshit words with an example or not?
Anybody that understands Coriolis understands what I'm talking about.
Is that a no?
You surely don't.
Go on, John.
If you understand the difference between apparent and actual, you get the cookie and
it won't let you. He's got to obfuscate you, John. Your words are very damning, so he must talk over them.
Yep. I just
Coriolis-
got back. What was he? I know about his hot tub and torpedoes. I've heard that before. Friggin' moronic,
You
man.
don't think that a torpedo would be deflected to the right if we spun the hot tub?
Let's see it then. Show us. That's what I keep asking you for. Now we move on from the claim you're making to the support for your claim. Not an endless diatribe of you asking us what we don't agree with and then asking us whether or not the thing we demonstrate, the Wikipedia example, very simplistic, is in conformity with your example, which you're not showing us, Zanuck.
Hurricane is an example.
Let's move on to hurricanes. No, Zanuck. I want you to concede that you've just got nonsense. No cowbell for your words. Just an endless diatribe of challenging us to disagree with an example you've not made. The Wikipedia example you keep referring to isn't backing your nonsense and your rumpusing. You're just obfuscating any rebuttal with word salad. That's all you've got, my friend.
Do you know why hurricanes rotate counterclockwise?
No, not hurricanes. I'll say it again. See if he rumpuses the crap out of me and ignores me again. I'll keep doing it, Zanuck. You've given us an example. Spinning hot tubs and torpedoes. Why you would give us this example is beyond me. It seems you are quite imaginative. But we're not here for imagination, especially not the imagination of you, Zanuck. Yeah? What we're now asking for is cowbell. A demonstration of your example that you have fantasized.
Actual and apparent. Do you know the difference?
You're just rumpusing the crap at me. I'm keeping you on mute, Zanuck. Just so you know, while I'm giving the devastating rebuttal you don't want to be heard by the audience, I'm making sure that it is heard. That I'm pointing it out. Let's do it again while you rumpus it again. So while I'm telling you that you're not going to be heard, you're going to try and obfuscate while you're on mute. Yeah, I'm telling overtly the audience what I'm doing. You are trying to obfuscate the point with non-stop rumpusing. I'm giving the devastating rebuttal that you don't want to be heard. And you aren't hearing what I'm asking for because you're rumpusing so much. So, I want cowbell. I want an example of your fantasy that you've verbalized. Not just an endless diatribe repetition of the same claim. An actual demonstration of rotating hot tubs with torpedoes. Do you want to manage that? Do you want to rustle that? Or do you want to concede that this is just in the imagination of a buffoon? Zanuck, that's you.
Someone throwing a ball on a merry-go-round. The same example.
No, it's not. You see, that's throwing a ball on a merry-go-round precisely like demonstrated in the Wikipedia example used in the demonstration obliterating Coriolis Effect on Earth. Now, your example was torpedoes in a spinning hot tub and not a ball on a merry-go-round. You see, that's where you're wrong, Zanuck. Either wrong or insane. I still haven't finished. You see, he's got to obfuscate the fact that I'm going to point out that somebody who claims hot tubs and torpedoes and then says, I've claimed balls and roundabouts, is either batshit insane or just a liar here to obfuscate the rebuttals and just peddle nonsense over the top. He's still doing it while I'm talking now. So you as the audience can hear me nice and clear, and I'm watching Zanuck's little line dancing up and down while he attempts to obfuscate this very calm demolition of his word salad fantasy of torpedoes spinning with hot tubs spinning and torpedo deflection.
People always mock what they don't understand.
Oh, an ad hominem. That would be an ad hominem. I'm not mocking you when I say that you either are batshit crazy or just here to obfuscate when you can't give us the cowbell. I'm speaking even slower now, Zanuck. Still see your line dancing, so you're not hearing this. That's the problem. The audience is hearing me concisely lay it out. And when I take you off mute and you haven't got a vaguest clue what I've been talking about, it's because you've been talking, trying to stop what I say reaching the audience, which is that you can't demonstrate your fantasy. You've made a claim and are now challenging us based on what we've shown with an actual example of what's been verbalized to disprove your example you can't make. Okay, Zanuck?
Can I speak now?
What, now I've finished? Rather than over the top of me?
Okay. Now the wiki example, a merry-go-round with throwing an object is the same exact example without the medium. There's no difference.
So without the medium is a difference. So that's not the same, that's different. So while you declare with double speak that there is no difference, and then quite overtly declare the very difference that it has. So that's double speak.
No, the difference of the principle. There's no.
Oh, you're about to give us the difference, even though you've just said there's no difference. So again, you're going to overtly verbalise the actual difference that it's got as your defence for there being no difference.
Why can't you accept conservation of angular momentum or angular or linear?
Quick, talk really quickly and rumpus and ignore the point. Yeah, you've just made it clear, Zanik. If you'll listen, I watch that little line dancing while I clearly convey to the audience your doublespeak. No worries, mate. I've got control here. I'm tired of your rumpusing. Yeah? It was very telling at the beginning of this discussion that you levelled rumpusing at us. It's clear that you've clicked with that little trick, haven't you, Zanik? Yeah, I've got a little defence to that trick. Shut your little mouth while I make it clear that number one, I'm watching your line dance, that you're trying to interrupt the rebuttal, and that number two, the actual point, which we won't sideline with your rumpusing. I'll make it clear to my audience that you've said there's no difference between the wiki example and your spinning hot tub torpedo example, and then you instantaneously go into detailing the differences. That's double speak, Zanik. Okay. Over.
Nathan, could I just ask a question to Zanik?
Absolutely. I don't want to hear from Zanik. His double speak's getting tiring.
It's just, hi, Zanik. It's just a bit of clarity on, what you're describing. Okay. So you're in the bath with your mate on a turntable and you're firing the torpedo to each other. Is your purported level of observed deflection the same as if you were throwing the ball to your mate from one end of the bath to the outside of the water?
In the inertial frame of reference. Or the non-inertial? Which one?
Is when you obviously the supposed or the level of curve that you observe the object do is relevant to the rate of rotation. So I'm asking you, if you do it in the bath, is it the same level of curvature that you observe the object do if compared to if you were to just throw a ball from one end of the bath to the other in the air? Are you observing the same deflection?
Okay. That's a great question. So yes, there is a difference because of the medium. There's more of a resistance to that deflection because the rotating medium with the actual rotating surface that you're sitting on. So the extra force required to move the object through the medium will deflect it less. Well, they'll have less of a deflection, less of an observed deflection.
Cool. So that variance in medium then, all it would go to suggest is that air density pressure could have an effect on any Coriolis effect or no Coriolis effect.
I don't know what you mean by air density pressure. What are you speaking
well,
about?
You brought up a variation in medium. So I'm trying to draw the inference of why you brought up a variance of medium to demonstrate the point.
So as was correctly stated by Nathan, the Earth is moving underneath this object, even though the atmosphere is moving with the Earth, not directly tied, but moving with it. So there would be drag associated with that movement. The apparent movement would actually have drag associated with it. Drag forces working against the apparent force. Not any different than you have centrifugal and centripetal force working against each other.
Yeah, maybe I'm not making myself clear then. So what I'm saying is that's the same in the atmosphere. If we were discussing that, was doing it a standard description of the Coriolis effect. Why did we have to get in your bath?
I think there was a little confusion about how the atmosphere is tied to the Earth. It's not tied directly where every molecule is where it lies, stays there and rotates with it. There's movement of the air. Everyone knows there's air current. That's why I brought up the medium.
Okay,
so
I
similarly,
understand. I understand that. So then, my final point then, really is, that's fine if you're suggesting that. But as far as I'm aware, the atmosphere isn't in a container, like a bath.
So you're asking if we have a container
Within
on
the ball model. It is, obviously, because you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum. But within the paradigm you're talking about of atmosphere being dragged along, your paradigm was a bath. So therefore that would imply that the atmosphere, your water, is within a container. Obviously,
Okay.
you've used a liquid and not a gas, therefore there's no need for a lid in your paradigm. But where's
There
your
wouldn't be a need
container
for a
with
lid
the
on
ball model in your paradigm?
Why would there be a need for a lid in either situation? The air,
To
the water
contain-
is
to
pulled to the earth
contain
via the
the
force of
inertial
gravity. So is
changes
the air.
that would affect the fluid.
You
I
don't-
started
you
at
don't
the
agree there's a
beginning
differential
saying
pressure
that
as you go up
your
in altitude with the air, as
analogy
well as
was
there are with the water?
incorrect, because obviously
He's talking.
and I
Start again,
gave you
Adam.
that the water.
Yeah, he's rumpusing you.
You're just
I
talking
know, I
right
gave you that
through.
the water would
Hold
be
on, Adam.
an obtuse angle.
Adam. Just if you can start again. He's basically just talked through your rebuttal, so that again, his little tactic is to make sure that the rebuttal isn't heard, and he'll talk through it indefinitely. So do you want to start again? I'm really sorry.
Okay, so given as we did at the beginning of your analogy, give you that the forces you're talking about didn't in any way affect the presentation and change of angle that the water, which would have otherwise been sitting flat, applied. Your whole analogy requires a container. Now, given that your analogy of the bath water, the water being the atmosphere, how within your analogy do you match it up? What is the bath in your ball earth model that's fixed to your rotating turntable or ball earth?
Well, in both situations, we have the force due to gravity holding the water down and the atmosphere being held down. I don't know what the question is. I guess I don't understand it.
Didn't your force due to gravity get destroyed already?
No, the force due to gravity, not that gravity is a force. That was we're going back and forth on the minutia.
Yeah, that's the one I mean.
Okay,
The one
so,
that you
yeah,
couldn't
there's
find
force.
a citation for, that you tried like 2 weeks
Well,
ago.
there's again a whole
Why are you still talking about that nonsense?
because there's an apparent force due to gravity.
Okay.
Just going to declare it as his
Isn't
fundy
it?
belief.
Do you not see?
So let's shut him up again, because I'm saying something devastating. He doesn't have anything for that chocolate. He has been demolished, but like all fundamentalist religious zealots, in the face of being absolutely demolished and having no evidence to support his fundamentalist religious assertion, he's going to ignore that entirely and assert it here and now, because that's what fundamentalist religious zealots do. There is no challenging their fundamentalist religious zealot belief. He'll just assert it again and again in the face of all opposition, and then rumpus the living crap out of anybody that challenges him. He'll talk non-stop through the rebuttal, and you're pointing out that he doesn't have any demonstration of that, even though he's been challenged for it and conceded he couldn't get it, and that the pseudo-science pretender clowns who talk about this force that's not a force, but you can think of it as a force, don't even agree themselves. There's no experimental validity to any claim of such a nature, but he'll still assert it because he's a fundamentalist, religious zealot.
He just defined the Coriolis force as an apparent deflection due to gravity. Is that the definition of the Coriolis force?
No, he wanted to know what held the water to the surface or the air to the surface. No, I didn't. I said
that.
Yeah, do you want to quote him? We won't let you. Again, the devastating rebuttal time is now, Zanuck. But you're, of course, talking and saying, no, I didn't just say that. I'm sure John wrote it down, correct?
I did. I
You wanna
did.
quote him?
And you can go back and listen
There
to
you
it.
go. Just for the audience, I just want to show that he is rumpusing the crap out of you. It's popping back on mute again.
Yes. He just said, and you can very easily rewind, that the apparent force was due to gravity. That's not the Coriolis effect, clown. I don't know which planet you're on, but you're making a horse's ass out of yourself here. I don't even know why we continue with this hot tubs spinning with torpedoes. This is absolute abject buffoonery. So that's
Let
my
me make
take.
myself
I
clear.
mean, pizza.
Can I make myself clear?
No, you've been saying.
The
I've been watching your
apparent
line dance
force-
up and down. Let's do it again. I've been watching your line dance up and down, but now I know what you've been saying over and over again while I had your line closed. Did I make myself clear? Did I make myself clear? Did I make myself clear? That's what you've been doing. I made sure that shit didn't reach the audience, but John's devastating rebuttal absolutely did, Zanuck. Yeah? You clear with that? You're not going to rumpus this hangout. We'll make sure we crap all over your fundamentalist assertions every time you come here, and the devastating rebuttal will be heard, Zanuck. We'll hear your crap too. We'll give you that time. But go away and moan about me muting you. That's what I want you to do. I want you
know
to
what a
piss
parrot
off
force is versus
while
national
I
force?
show
You
the
know what it-
audience that you're going to do what you're doing now, and tell them that that's how we get around it. We shut you up and point out your zealotry. That's what we do, while you ask if you're being made clear over the top of the rebuttal. Well, I'm not going to tolerate that, Fundy. Yeah? You're the one with the Fundy assertions. You've got nothing to back your claims, and as Chocolate just pointed out, you haven't got a leg to stand on with this assertion when it comes to a force that's not a force, but you can think of it as a force that you researched and found out that the people who talk about this couldn't agree with each other, because that's what we're looking for in science, isn't it? Agreement between fundies. Yeah, you've got nothing, my friend, nothing.
You see, I've obfuscated the whole entire topic by going to gravity. Let's talk about Coriolis. We can.
Sorry, do you want to read out his quote again, John?
Yeah, he said by going to gravity, you brought it up. You said the apparent deflection was due to gravity. That's what you said.
Only the container. It's only my reference to only the container.
When he asked what is your tub in the
Yes.
ball model, you said, "Oh, it's not the same. It's due to a force due to gravity is what's holding." So we don't.
Well, we know that, right? You can measure that. You can measure.
Oh, we know that. We're fundamentalist religious zealots too. We just accept that shit, even though we absolutely pummel it here daily. Yeah, we just accept it. If all else fails, just declare that everybody accepts the same fundamentalist religious assertion that he makes. Because that's right, isn't it, Zanuck? We all just accept this shit. No, we don't, dickhead. What's the point of you being here, other than to be the fundy that you are, if we all agree with you? If that's what you think, you moron, go away. Why? You think we all agree with you, do you? What kind of retard are you? I mean, literally, that is the definition of retarded. You're mentally held back, mate, if you think we all agree with you on this point when we've been debating it for the last 20 minutes solid, having to shut you up while you obfuscate every single rebuttal to your fundamentalist religious assertions that we've got a spinning ball Earth with a force you can't prove. Yeah, none of that shit stacks up, mate. No, we don't agree with you. What deluded world do you live in?
There's no force holding water or air to the ground. Okay, we can go with that.
Excellent. No, there is no force. You're right. All your fundies all agree with you, but you claimed it was so, even though we've been laughing because of George Musa for quite some time.
Huey, go ahead of me. Go ahead. Let's give it a shot. Let me blow your perception of Coriolis.
We know what Coriolis is. You don't need to blow our conception. We've detailed it on this show. John went through a great big presentation, which no doubt you didn't watch. You just came to ignore it and present your crap over the top of it, ignoring anything that challenged your fundamentalist religious assertion that we're on a ball Earth flying through a vacuum and spinning. No, none of that's going to ever add up. You don't have a Coriolis effect on Earth. It's real, but you're not going to blow our assertions away. There's a very simple definition on Wikipedia. It's been shown. You haven't given us anything. You've made an example, verbally, and when asked to actually demonstrate it, you go to the Wikipedia, say that your example's the same, even though it's medium specific, and that's what Adam argued about, the very thing that differs from the Wikipedia example you said was the same.
Because you got confused.
Yeah, that's talking all over the top of me. Just wanted to open the mic to make sure that the audience know that he's still doing it. He's still attempting to rumpus, even though I've told him I can overcome it. He still thinks his little ploy is going to work, and the devastating rebuttals are going to be rumpus by him talking non-stop. Yeah? Bad move claiming that we were rumpusing you, my friend, at the beginning of this after show. Bad move.
It's a good movie. If you let me finish, you don't want to hear it. You want to just talk over me.
Zanuck, I don't understand why the last time it was a swimming pool with a dome, and now you've upgraded to a hot tub with torpedoes. I don't understand all this crap. Why don't you just have a practical, real life example of what you're talking about?
Chocolate, I did. So I used the dome over the merry-go-round because the air would be then trapped inside of it. You're getting confused
With the swimming pool.
So Earth has a dome. So Earth has a dome. So I'm going to rumpus you. So Earth has a dome then. So Earth has a dome then. So Earth has a dome then. I can rumpus too, you see, Zanuck. So Earth has a dome then, Zanuck, comparable to your example.
You need to capture the air. The air is captured by the Earth via gravity, yes.
Oh, he's going to do the fundamentalist religious assertion of something he hasn't proven has been absolutely demolished 2 weeks running, and talks about how the pseudoscientists can't agree on their words about this force that's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Yeah? That's what you're going to do, Fundy? Yeah, this is where we laugh at you, Zanuck. So when I compare your example with a dome to Earth, you go back to your religious assertion that we've got gravity. Oh, how quaint, Fundy. Ah, isn't it sweet? Do you wriggle when we point out that you're a Fundy zealot? Because that's what you are when you make these religious assertions about a force that's not a force, but we can think of it as a force, as you rumpus the hangout. It's cute, mate. None of it's getting through. Keep rumpusing all you like. We'll just point out that you've gone back to a religious assertion, and that's what it is. Your little gravity religion.
What do you want to call the force that pulls things down?
What force that pulls things down? There is no force that pulls things down. It's a force, but you can think of it as a force. Oh, he's rumpusing again. There he goes. Was it a rhetorical question when Zanuck puts a question mark at the end of something? Well, I'm still going to reply, regardless of his decision, that there's going to be no rebuttal to his question. No, definitely no force there, Zanuck. I thought you made that clear when you went and investigated with the other pseudoscience religious priests that you asked about this and told us that they couldn't agree. So I'm pretty sure that you haven't got a leg to stand on yet again, my rumpusing friend. Yeah? I'll just tell you once more, Zanuck. My rebuttal is definitely getting through to the audience. I can see your line dancing and keep it closed while you rumpus me. Bad move. Bad move.
Zanuck, it seems like you can't decide whether it's gravity is a force or if it's a force that creates a force. Seems like you can't decide which is which.
It creates a force. I've never said it was a force. I said it creates a force.
Really?
That's the more accurate scientific explanation of how gravity works.
Why are you the only one who says that? Because gravity is supposed to be a force, right?
Do you understand what causes things to accelerate? Do you realize it has to be a force for something to move? Do you agree with that?
Things don't randomly move.
A force due to gravity?
A force due to gravity,
randomly move. It's just inserted this chocolate where suddenly we have things that just randomly, spontaneously, of their own volition, start moving because of a force. That's not a force, but gives rise to a force. It's more time for rumpusing. I left the line open that time, Zanuck, just to make sure that the audience knew that while I was crystal clear debunking you, that you were definitely actually rumpusing me.
If you think you're debunking me,
you're still doing it.
Zanuck, here's the problem. You came on here before, and we did this back and forth with gravity is the force that causes a force, right? But you said that that's what it was, and you were going to go away and get citations to clarify that and verify it.
Right.
And you came back. You came back and said, I can't find it. I don't got that.
You said there was disagreement with all the scientists I'm speaking with, so I just basically gave.
So then you don't have that, right?
Well, you go for the cause. It gets a little more complicated. Well, theory is more
that
complicated.
Just means that you came back without that, right?
No, it doesn't dispute the second law of Newton and the force due to gravity are still valid.
We're not talking about the second law, though. We're talking about gravity.
The theory of relativity and spinning space-time is something that we're talking about, and I don't have proof for that.
Space-time.
That's
I'm glad you said you don't got proof of that.
That's what the scientists are talking about. Yeah, well, they have things that they can show as evidence. I don't have enough of that to bring that to the table here. All I'm looking at is the fundamental.
That's what the pseudoscientists are talking about.
Like a pseudo force is not real.
That's what the pseudo man.
What does pseudo mean?
If you look at pseudo, you look at
Zanuck, yeah, it's another one of those times that the devastating rebuttal's coming, and he's got to talk through it indefinitely, right, Zanuck? What does pseudo mean?
Pseudo means fake.
What was your question again, Zanuck?
Unbelievable.
So, a fake force, according to Zanuck, gives rise to a not fake force, but real force, actual force, force that's going to do shit. It's got work to do, man. That fake force is going to produce a force that can do shit. Right, Zanik? You absolute retard. This is absolutely absurd.
Fake force. Because pseudo force has a different definition. Pseudo force is real, actually.
Fake is real. Right, you see this fake Gucci handbag? It's a real Gucci, because fake is real. You'd be great. You'd be a great Dell boy. Dell and Rodney, eat your heart out. It's fake, so it's real. That's absolutely brilliant.
Emerald, jump in. Emerald, come on.
What? Zanik.
Yeah, Emerald, jump in and tell us how something that's fake is real. Please.
No. Pseudo force does not equal pseudo plus force. Pseudo force is a separate term, which does not mean fake force. Yeah,
pseudo force is a separate.
People mock what they don't understand.
I mean, there's other examples of words that follow a similar example. Like the word appoint means to like put someone in a certain role, give them a certain responsibility or title. The word disappoint doesn't mean the opposite of that. Just because you put two words together doesn't mean that word is exactly the sum of the two words.
You can't pass 5th grade general science. Go back to the rock you crawled out from. Clown.
Quantum.
Let's
you and me talk about pseudo force right now. You and me, right now, one-on-one. Are you up for the challenge? Do you think an apparent deflection or an apparent force is not real? Is that what you're saying? Because if you are, that shows how illiterate you are.
You couldn't challenge Elmer Fudd, you fucking retard.
What does apparent mean, right? A bit like the apparent size of the sun. Yeah, apparent, not actual. And you're saying, are you telling me that not actual's not actual?
An example, angular size versus actual size.
Yeah, angular size is not actual size. Yeah, you're getting the not bit. It doesn't seem to be going through. When they say not a force, you're now you're talking through the devastating rebuttal again. Yeah, when you hear not a force, for some reason you cognitively process the word force and just ignore the not bit. Yeah, so not actual size of the sun. Yeah, angular size. Apparent size, not actual. So just to recap, pseudo meaning fake. Yeah, it's the conclusion of the devastating rebuttal. So you can be damn sure Zanik's going to be talking all the way through it. Because that's their tactic. Very telling. Shame we've got a way of overcoming that, Zanik? Otherwise you'd be destroying this point. That pseudo force means fake force. And apparent means not actual. So a not actual force is not going to be giving rise to your fundamentalist religious zealotry. Okay, Zanik?
Hey Nathan, give me about 2 minutes to eat my pizza. We got to put him on mute. Let's go after that knucklehead that just joined.
From a perspective of the non-inertial frame of reference. Does that make sense?
If you're on a merry-go-round and you see deflection, that's not actual deflection. It's a pseudo force that causes that apparent deflection. But if you're on that merry-go-round, you're going to say, "Wow, that's a very real-looking deflection." To people on that non-inertial reference frame, it clearly looks very real.
Oh right, yeah, and like a hologram, like a hologram's real, and you can go and make
no, not like a hologram's real. Like
I'm talking to him, Zanik. Right, the last chance, third time's a charm. Not having this conversation with you, Zanik. Yeah, like a hologram's not actual, and you go, look at that beautiful naked lady hologram. I'll go and make love to it because it's so real. It looks so actual. Yeah, shame it's not. It's not actually there. Yeah? Same with the sun, not actual position. Same with the force, not actually deviating. Wow, it really looks like it's deviating. Shame it's not.
That beautiful lady walks across the merry-go-round.
Yeah, let's shut Zanik up because I just demolished someone else, didn't I? You don't need to bail him out, Zanik. I want to hear his crappy rebuttal.
You're right that from someone looking above the merry-go-round, any motion is going to look like a straight line. It's not going to look like it's deflecting. But to a person on that merry-go-round who's rotating with it, that deflection is as real as anything else. He's going to be able to see that object clearly curving. So to him, it's as real as any other deflection.
It's as real as anything else. I heard you. You don't have to repeat it 5 times. So it's an actual deflection then. It's as real as anything else. As real as anything else, like me actually curving something. It's actually deflecting then, because it's as real as anything else. An actual deflection.
To a person in that reference frame, yeah.
Sorry, no. You didn't listen to what I said. Now you're just talking all through me while you misrepresent what I said. It's an actual deflection then. It's as real as anything else. That's your claim. So therefore,
my claim is that it depends on the perspective. It depends on which reference frame
excuse
you're
me, what's your malfunction? Are you like Zanuck, where the devastating rebuttal will get misrepresented and when repeated, talked through indefinitely? Yeah, I'm going to make my position clear because you misrepresented it, my friend. You're not going to let me? Is this your tactic? Misrepresent my position and then talk through me indefinitely? Yeah.
No.
I'm asking you. It starts up again, does it? Because obviously this is going to be the beginning of me repeating it for the 3rd time. So of course that's where it starts up again. Now I'm going to repeat it until you shut up and listen to it and then address it. Which is to say, it would be, if real as anything else, an actual deflection then. Correct?
No.
Oh, so not as real as anything else then. Oh, so you'd be wrong then. So it's a not... I'm there with the devastating rebuttal, my friend. Not your time to talk. Your time to be raped. So shut up, sit down, take a breath and listen to me smash your argument. If it's as real as anything else, then it's an actual deflection. And when asked if it's an actual deflection, as opposed to a not actual deflection, you say no. And that's because it's not as real as anything else.
Right. What do you got to say for Elmer?
May I respond to that?
I'm just going to call you Elmer. You're a train,
now I'm done, rather than through the top of it, so that the audience doesn't get it. Yeah, now that I'm done, you can respond to my absolutely devastating rebuttal, because I've actually finished presenting it. Maybe you'd listen to it if you didn't talk through it. Do I need to repeat it a 4th time because you talked through it that time?
No, you don't. And I will respond to it at this point. You're missing the key point that I made, that it depends on which perspective you're in. I said to the person on that merry-go-round, in the non-inertial reference frame, it will appear to be as real as any other force. But that doesn't mean that it
Sorry, excuse me, I'm confused. I need a term clarifying.
What does...
Sorry, I need a term clarifying. I need a term clarifying. I can rumpus too. What does... What was that word? Apparent.
Appear.
Did you say appear? Appears. What does that word mean?
Seems to be.
Oh, seems to be. Sorry, a moment ago it was as real as anything, and now we've got these words like seems to be and appears. What gives, my friend? Seems to be you're backing my argument that it's not actual, that it's not as real as anything else. Yeah, I will stop you when you use these little weaselly words that undo your own argument, friend. That's when I talk. Yeah? Because I've actually got something to rebut what you're saying. I know you can rumpus me, because every time I interrupt, it's gonna be devastating. Yeah?
Sure, you can think that.
I know that, my friend. It's not an actual deflection in any way, shape, or form.
That's why it's called a pseudo-force.
Yeah, there he goes again. Yeah, devastating rebuttal time. Rumpus the shit out of Nathan. Yeah, my friend, I'll just shut you up. No worries. I'll just say it again while you try and obfuscate it. You're trying to describe a force, something actual, coming from something that is in no way actual. Because when we ask you to clarify what it is, it's a seems to be, a kind of looking like a not actual. So it's not as real as anything else, my friend. You're just fundamentally wrong.
I agree with you on that. It's not in all reference frames a real actual force.
Excellent. So you're not going to be getting any actual force out of a not actual force then. It's not as real as anything else, like me pushing something. That would be a force, something I can actually experience, an actual force that might actually do things. This is not that, my friend. So let's not worry about what you double speak around this, because it's not an actual force. Just apparent, just seems like, just not actual.
I think the key point you're missing is that it depends on the reference.
Not as real as anything else.
If I'm in a car that's turning left, I feel myself
as real as anything else as declared by you. you're just wrong. You won't obfuscate the fact that when you declare it's as real as anything else, you are fundamentally wrong.
That the force was
and I'll keep pointing it out until I make it uninterrupted. You can keep interrupting indefinitely while I indefinitely point out that you're fundamentally wrong, my friend, that it's not as real as anything else, that these little weasel words you've used undo that argument. I'd like you to concede your incorrect position. Maybe you'll just be a weasel your entire duration on the panel. We'll see. Scummy weasel. Well, you're going to concede you were wrong?
That position you destroyed is not my argument. I agree with you that it's not a completely real force everywhere, always.
Not completely real?
We agree with that.
Well, is it, when you say not completely, what do you mean? Well, that's another weasel word that would imply that it is sometimes. So what do you mean not completely?
Partially.
No, I'm saying it's dependent on the reference frame you're standing in. If you're on the merry-go-round, you'll see a deflection and you'll think, wow, that's a real deflection. But if you're standing above the merry-go-round, you'll say, wait, that's not deflecting at all. It depends on where you're standing.
Oh my God. Hey, Nathan, have him define the Coriolis effect, please.
For the Earth.
Yeah. Do you want to define it? What's the Coriolis effect?
Just definition, what's the Coriolis effect?
Yes, and a citation supporting that.
Sure. As far as I recall, it is the apparent deflection of objects on Earth, and the claimed cause is because of the rotation of the Earth. If you move at a different latitude, so if you go from, say, the North Pole to the equator, things will appear to deflect. If you're going north to south, it'll appear to deflect, I believe, to the west. If you're going south to north, it'll appear to deflect to the east in the northern hemisphere.
Now, can you cite it,
That's
please?
as concise.
Excuse me. You were asked for two things. Your description, which unfortunately was interrupted. Now, can you cite that, please?
Awesome, I'll find it.
Thank you. You done with your pizza?
I just got done.
Okay, I'll go on mute.
Now I want glow. It's time to hunt orcs. Orbital retards. Concomitantly.
Orbital retards?
Yeah.
You just thought of that, huh?
No, I was watching Lord of the Rings last night.
Ah.
He said it's time to hunt orcs.
Did your ring glow all of a sudden? Or?
Now my sword's glowing.
Oh, wow.
We got him, mate. Chocolate, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. What's up?
I was musing on last night, mate. You know, spent ages looking for like Dragon Ball Z jokes that were like flat Earth related or relevant or something, but couldn't find any.
Yeah. Well, the best they got in Dragon Ball is they destroy planets. I guess that's a good thing. With their fingers.
That was a rubbish show. Sorry, I was just saying.
Just saying. I like that.
Thank you. I thought I'd give it a pause. I was too drunk last night to use that. Sorry for doing it on your show, Nathan.
All right. How did you find it, Chocolate? Because I really enjoy going on Iron Realm. They've got it all lined up and they're quite organised. So there's a little bit of tension just before the show and stuff. Did you find that?
A little bit, I guess, just because I'm not used to being like the guy that's being spoken to on the show. So I guess, yeah. But after a few minutes, it was like, oh, okay, I'm just talking to the guys. So.
Yeah, but you're talking about the relevant topic, though. I mean, I know you're talking in a general manner about what's happened and what you've been doing and your progress and all the rest of it, but it's still disseminating information in a very concise way to the audience still. So, I know I was saying you're just chatting with the guys, but it was about time you were doing. You put in that situation, Chocolate. It's late coming. Let's put it that way.
Really bloody late, weren't it? I was blown away, Nathan. You know, you didn't go into your personal details, just what you described, you know, with 9/11 and the rabbits you pulled out of the sack, mate. I honestly, it was one of my most favourite shows for a very, very long time. It reminded me of the old days where we were just genuinely talking with people and just having a natter, like you said. Nathan, thanks for the compliment about organisation. I've never witnessed that ever, but yeah, I loved last night. It was brilliant.
Well, bring me on your show again. I'll give you a genuine conversation.
Well, you say you won't be organised. Well, I was just thinking, how can I draw a parallel? And there's a beautiful example already, because you've just helped Ranty Flat Earth out, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, his organisation is you can obviously, now people will definitely see it if they're watching this and listen to this, but you'll see the comparison in terms of how it's laid out, because obviously Adam's helped him, but in terms of how he's kept himself organised, again, it seems to be a parallel with what you're doing, and I would assume that that's your influence, right?
Yeah, we kind of set him up, and I've got an addiction to Photoshop and OBS, mate, in terms of keeping myself occupied when I'm listening to YouTube, you know what I mean? So yeah, I really enjoyed helping Ranty out. It was real fun, and it's a mate, isn't it? You know, he stuck that call out there, and life's like that, isn't it? That's what Jesus teaches me. You know, all of the doctrine aside, it's about, can you help people? And I enjoyed doing it in my work life, and like when Ranty stuck the opportunity out there, I kind of jumped on it, and did a good job on it for him, hopefully. Do you know what I mean? And that's I think it's paying dividends. You know what I mean? I think what he's producing, outside of it looking pretty and finally working. You know what, Nathan? Right? I set it all up, and he fiddled with it the night before. It's his fault, you know, that first production. But for me, I think, you know, what he's producing now, I think is really adding to. I alluded to it last night. It's a growth from your stuff. We were chatting with Chocolate and talking about Jose, I think at the time, and it's not a plagiarization. It's a growth from what you've borne out, and I think as these things develop, it's a compliment to you, mate, because it's all coming from what you've borne, mate, and it's great to see.
Well, I tried to have that conversation. It actually happened live with Jose. He joined the show, and I was trying to get that kind of sentiment across to him, which is to say, even though he has plagiarised me, he still can be complimentary in the same way you're describing with Ranty. There's an overlap. I always use this example, but with chip shops, you know, you have a single chip shop in a little town, and you know, obviously people will go there and get chips. But if another chip shop opens pretty much next door, both of them will grow in custom. They'll both benefit. It seems weird, but I've watched this actually happen, and it's no different. The analogy, obviously, each show being a chip shop. And, you know, although your example is to say that Ranty's is totally different to my show, and it is, I agree entirely, it doesn't mean to say that we won't simultaneously support him and call him a terrorist sympathiser. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's a mate, and you should. So.
Yeah, exactly. I said to him today, I was like, the reason we're ribbing you is because, you know, overtly we're supporting you. Obviously, I've done a presentation. I did him a little couple of minute advert yesterday with a rebuttal to one of his guests. So hopefully he's getting, you know, plenty of publicity, plenty of shout outs, and plenty of support. But when he's actually face to face with us, it's like, yeah, you're just a terrorist sympathiser. All the crap that I actually got, but it was real when I got it. People meant it. You know, now it's like comes along with a load of support for Ranty. Great. Not that I'm bitter.
But at least Randy will give you credit.
Credit for doing a presentation?
What's that?
Did you say give you credit for doing what? I don't understand your context.
I said at least Ranty gives you credit for his chip shop, whereas Jose doesn't.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that might change. I mean, Jose came on and was almost kind of saying, look, I want to work around you in a way. One of the trolls made a comment or a video, I forget which, saying, oh, Big Daddy Nathan's given him permission. It's like, I don't run YouTube. I've got no control over what Jose does. But on the other hand, with a little bit of greasing of the skids between his show and my show, they can complement each other and work to both of our benefits. And I think with a little bit of massaging, he's maybe started to recognise that. I mean, I'll go by his actions in future. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to nod. I've overtly demanded that of Jose just because it's outrageous to demand, credit for his show being my show. But just because that's an outrage. If he was doing it to me, I'd be appalled, and I do it just to develop the outrage from Jose. Overtly point out what he's done when he denies it, which just cracks me up a little bit. But again, Jose's followed the format from show 1 to 100. It's not like he's doing what I do now. He's got that old school flat earth debate vibe about it, where everyone's rumpusing everybody. You don't hear any points come to the conclusion. If any point does actually get a decent rebuttal in, there'll be 5 people rumpusing all at once. That I had that show as well, So Ranty, on the other hand, I've said this a few times, has developed a true niche in flat earth, a task that I just did not think would ever happen again. To develop a new concept. Just genius.
That's what I was going to say, Nathan. I think there's a difference between, when I said evolution from your, there is a difference. Ranty's it's gone in a different direction. It's producing a different product. And outside of the criticisms, in terms of audience participation, from my viewer perspective, I always describe yours as like the lion's den for folks to come in for a flat earth debate, and I don't say this disrespectfully to Jose, but it's kind of a bit like you're the Premiership and they're Division 1 in terms of it's a great funding ground, and if anybody's actually got anything that's worthy in Jose's that's of any substance, then the real test of it, if I'm being honest, will be to bring it to your show.
All right, we got something from Emerald. Do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
1 second.
Can't see it. Is it on the YouTube live stream?
We're not actually live, but yeah.
Oh, you're not live?
No.
How would he share his screen?
He can't, but I can see it on Skype, and so can the other people in Ballbusters. We just want to see what you're showing us, that's all.
For 1 second, you seeing what I got here?
In Discord, yeah, I can see your Discord.
I got this knucklehead block. Let's take a look at the first one. My argument is exactly that. It appears to the person on a merry-go-round that the deflection is very real. However, for the sake of, I guess, entertainment, Nathan hijacked that to pretend that my point was that the force itself was completely real, and proceeded to destroy it in grandiose fashion, with no regard to the straw man he was attacking. Very silly. We'll get back to this little nonsense here in a second, you friggin' crayon muncher. Let's get this other one. Here. Where's the citation at? What is this?
Is this on Ballbusters? So I can watch
You have
this?
to read it out loud, John. He can't see.
And in brackets, inertial force, fictitious force, pseudo force, DL force is a force caused not by the physical interaction between objects, but by the acceleration of one frame with respect to another. Objects in the inertial frame of reference will feel no force. Objects in the non-inertial accelerating frame of reference frame will perceive a very real, visible, measurable, detectable force. This is horse shit. But I can't. Where'd you get this from?
What part do you not think is correct?
This part. Objects in, not that one. Objects, wait a second. Objects in the non-inertial accelerating frame of reference will perceive a very real, visible, measurable force. So you're saying
so an
people
example
on
of
an
that,
airplane feel the Coriolis force?
So when you claimed I had a straw man, and we went through with me getting a little bit flustered and you talking through my rebuttal, that we're not talking about an actual force, as opposed to the words you've written down here. I'll just repeat it precisely as you've wrote it. Will perceive a very real force. So, do you want to take that shit about me strawmanning you back when you've literally written down a very real force? Did the bits that I took apart in terms of not actual, the pretend bits, yeah? Did you just think that that was a straw man when you've clearly written down the very points I was debunking you with in black and white, in Discord, without a citation?
You asked me the question. Is the force real or not? You didn't.
It's not! Yeah? So not a straw man, you stupid retard. Absolute demolition of your claim in black and white!
If you remove the condition of the reference frame, then you are strawmanning me because you're not getting my full...
If we remove the condition of a reference frame, we're talking about Coriolis force, and it requires 2 separate reference frames. So you're saying if we talk about a completely different subject, I'm strawmanning you? You asshole, lying bastard. Can you go back to up to his claim about me, please? While I call him an absolute lying bastard, piece of shit, scumbag. You hearing me, Emerald?
Yeah.
What's this
That's
shit?
very real.
My argument is exactly that. It appears that the person on the merry-go-round, that deflection is very real. However, for the sake of, I guess, entertainment, Nathan hijacked that. What? Hijacked the actual real force that you described below? No, my friend. I made you very painfully concede that there was no actual force as described by you in black and white, you lying sack of crap. Why are you making up lies about me?
I agree with you. There is not an actual force.
Scroll down to what he wrote down below when he claims in this comment that I'm strawmanning him. The lying sack of Weasley shit globe head fundy zealot.
Let me find it again. There it is.
Do you agree with me? Right? So why does it in this very reference written by your own hand say the words will perceive a very real force?
Well, perceive one, yes.
A very real force?
You see a hologram.
My perception of a very real force is someone pushing me. That's me perceiving a very real force. This is not that, my friend. That's what I detailed when I debunked you. Not a straw man, you piece of shit.
I never claimed that it is an actual real force. So I don't
roll up to what he just wrote down in black and white. Again, this lying fundy zealot. You want me to read it again? Yeah? Objects in the non-inertial, in brackets, accelerating reference frame will perceive a very real, visible, measurable, detectable force!
I'm going to marry a hologram and make babies with it.
You hearing me? You are scum.
Yes.
You are scum.
I'm hearing you.
Claims that I am strawmanning you, you weasel, not to my face, where I can rip that shit to shreds. Yeah? You do it in the live chat. Yeah? Like the keyboard warrior scumbag liar you are. You can't do it to my face, where I'll rip it off. Can you? You piece of shit. You hear me, Emerald, you piece of shit? Answer me while I berate you, you piece of shit. I'm tearing a strip off you.
We need eye contact. You're a clusterfuck, son.
Sure.
But we already knew that, didn't we, Emerald?
I'm under the impression you think that, so sure, I'll say yeah to that.
Yeah, I
Waiting
bet
for an
you'll stay
apology.
out of it.
Yeah, so you were wrong on all counts. Wrong on the point I argued with you. Wrong
I'll
in your
say I was wrong on
declaration.
2
I'm
counts, but I
talking.
won't say
I'm
all
talking.
because I was
I'm
under the impression that you were
I'm
trying
talking.
to ask, you asked me the question at some
talking.
You asked me the question
I'm
at some
talking.
point. Is the force
I'm talking.
a real force?
Shut him up. So the audience will get to hear it because clearly he wants to, obfuscate the fact that he's wrong on all counts, which is how I started the sentence when he decided it was time to interrupt and talk all over me. Yeah, I've got a solution to that problem, Emerald, you piece of shit. I'll make sure the audience hears this, which is to say that he was wrong on all counts. No, it's not a force. No, there is no measurable, detectable force as he wrote down. No actual force as he conceded while I argued with him and later claimed I was strawmanning him. Just wrong on all counts. And also got an accusation against me personally. Yeah? Right, Emerald? Again, like with Zanuck, when he's being demolished, all I see is their line dancing up and down while I point out, nice and concisely and clearly and calmly, without rumpusing from the scumbag, lying fundy zealot. Yeah? Scumbag? Now you can address this by apologising for you being wrong on all counts.
I will apologize that if your question was, does the person in that reference frame experience a real force, and I said no, that was incorrect. But if
yeah, you wrote it down, my friend. I'm absolutely correct. So yeah, when you're in your little chat feeds misrepresenting me, when in fact you've been raped by me and you just don't like it, with your own nonsense that I've pulled apart for a live audience, yeah? You don't like that, so you want to misrepresent me by writing shit that you later have to have pointed out to you, pulled apart in great detail, and then we get an apology from you, scumbag. Yeah? You are the scum of the earth with your misrepresentations, your fundy belief in a spinning ball. You disgust me. I'm not misrepresenting you. You don't know me from Adam. Yeah? What you do know is you got pummeled here. I ripped apart your assertions, showed it in black and white when you were pummeled, how you lied about how I'd misrepresented you when I haven't. I just pummeled you. You don't like it, so you lie about me. In a little chat feed, don't you, Emerald, you scumbag piece of shit.
Yeah. He didn't think we'd go on here
very
and show it.
cynical interpretation of what I did.
It's what you did. It's not an interpretation, it was demonstrated to you, and you've conceded and apologised for it. I'm just not letting you off the hook with a shitty little apology for the type of scummy behaviour that all you fundies exhibit. Every last one of you do this. Because you don't like being pummeled with the truth. You've got a fundy belief in a spinning ball earth, and when it's ripped to shreds and you're shown to be stupid and wrong, you'll misrepresent me and lie about me in a chat feed, won't you, you bloody coward? Well, this is the end result of that, my friend. You being absolutely pummeled.
Yeah, he didn't expect me to share my screen and show what he wrote. That's what he didn't expect. Right?
You're going to tell me I'm cynical?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I mean, I wrote them. They're in a public forum. Feel free to discuss them.
Oi! You're going to tell me I'm cynical? It's a cynical way of looking at it.
I wrote them.
Yeah, shut up. I'm berating you. You're going to tell me again how cynical we are?
Being berated. I really don't care about this language. Listen to the name calling, the berating. Get to the point.
Yeah, the point is you're wrong. Let's see how long it takes for you to interrupt me while I point out that on every single level of your example, you were wrong. There is no apparent force, as written down in black and white, not expected to be shared though. Yeah? A fundamentalist religious zealot's assertion that we have an actual force, as debated by me with you, and then after I pummeled that crap, you went onto the live feed and declared that I'd strawmanned you, that I'd misrepresented you, and for entertainment's sake, yeah, no, my friend, you just got your ass handed to you and didn't like it, so decided to misrepresent me in the scummy, globe-tard way that is so prevalent in this little corner of the internet that we reside. Scumbag misrepresentations because their fundamentalist zealot belief gets pummeled. That's what's happened.
Can we put an exclamation point on this? I thought I asked for a citation. Is this a citation?
Which message are you referring to?
An inertial force, fictitious force, pseudo force is a force cause.
No, that's not a citation.
It is or it isn't?
No.
Didn't I ask you for that?
You did. I gave one on the Coriolis effect higher up in the chat. I think I remember that's what you were telling me to get a citation for, definition of Coriolis, as opposed to definition of inertial forces in general. I think I posted it around 4:44 Central Time.
No. You described inertial forces, and then he asked you for the citation. So you're saying because you have actually at some stage cited it. No, that came after he specifically asked you to cite what you were detailing.
Right.
So
I was asked.
No, he's going to obfuscate this. So you're now having to roll back all the way through the chat to find something he cited absolutely ages ago. That's basically what's happening here. You're a liar.
Excuse me. I was
You're
asked
a liar.
what.
You're a liar.
Coriolis-
That's not where you cited that. The bit that he's read out is the bit that you produced after being asked for a citation. Now you're going to claim that something miles up the chat is your citation.
Asked, give me a citation, and I said, sure, give me a bit. And then I went silent for a long time. I posted in the chat a citation, and then a long while later, I then posted the monologue in chat later. What I posted about you, or what I posted about the inertial force, those weren't in direct response to that question.
No problem. Did you watch the Coriolis Effect GIF I had on Wiki?
No. Could you link me to that, please?
All right. Hold on 1 second.
Yep.
Oh, boy. All right. So.
I would like to apologize for. Looking back at it, it was really conceited of me to say it in that way. And I understand that I think I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to debate, and I think what the point I was trying to make was that it depends on the reference frame whether you see it as a real or fake force. When you asked me, is there a real force at all? I thought you were asking me, is the force real, like all around, completely real? And I answered no to that. Although the measurable part is only from the non-inertial reference frame, whereas the person in the inertial reference frame sees no force. All I wanted to do is sort of distinguish between those two scenarios.
No worries. How do you measure a non-force?
Yeah.
How do you measure it?
Give us the measure, dude.
So if you're in a rotating car, if you're in a car that starts turning left and you put a object on like a string, you'll actually see that object be pushed outward away from the car. And you can if you instead use a spring scale instead of a string, you can actually measure that ball feels like it's being pulled to the outside side of the car,
the airplane,
even though that's not an actual force that's being applied.
Yeah, I want to see the airplane. I want to see the Coriolis effectometer on the airplane.
I didn't say this applied to the Coriolis effect on an airplane. I'm talking about in general, just non-inertial inertial forces.
Okay. Now back to my GIF right here, because that's a load of horse shit.
All right.
Can you tell me where the equator, north, south, east, and west is, and where it's annotated on the Coriolis effect description here, please?
It mentions the poles on the equator, but I think it's referring to the disk.
There is no mention of any latitude, east-west equator in the definition of the Coriolis. Right? I've got about 8 different definitions from universities right here that don't mention east, west, or anything in the definitions. Why is that?
Okay. Well, for one, this disk doesn't have latitude and longitude defined on it, so obviously there wouldn't be any mention in this case.
Well, we still have the Coriolis force, though.
Yeah. The Coriolis force isn't just an effect that takes place on Earth. It takes place on objects that rotate. And in the general case, with just objects that rotate, they don't always have latitude and longitude. So a general definition won't mention latitude and longitude.
Then it doesn't matter. I can still have the Coriolis effect without those things, right? Why do I need them? Yeah.
You don't need those things. It's just that those are directions on the Earth. East and west are the same as saying this black dot deflects to the left. On Earth, we'll say, well, that's west. And if we go from the pole to the equator, we don't say that's from the center to the edge. We just say that's going down latitude. The use of latitude and longitude is just to give us a sense of coordinates and direction. We could say down and left if we want. Coriolis effect doesn't require latitude and longitude. It's just a property of rotating objects.
Or directions. It doesn't matter, right? All we need is 2 reference frames, an inertial frame and a non-inertial frame.
Correct.
That's correct. That's my whole point, and that's all my definitions say. No east or west directions. It's an apparent deflection, does not actually deflect. This deflection is not real.
Yeah.
So if it's not real, you're not measuring it from any reference frame.
it's not a real rotation from the top part. But if you're on the bottom part and you see that curve, you could take a protractor to that and measure the angle of that. It won't be an actual deflection angle, but you could measure something non-zero there from that curvature.
Oh, goodness gracious, boy.
You're talking in double speak. You can't measure something that's continuing to go in a straight line and say, I'm measuring...
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're in a reference, if you're on the rotating disc and you're rotating with it,
there we go again.
Straight line
I'm in the middle of talking, so he's going to talk about it through my rebuttal. Yeah? It's not deflecting. So any object traveling in a straight line, you're essentially telling us, I can measure the curve of that straight line. Wow, this sounds familiar.
If you're on a rotating plane, then yeah, you can, because you'll think that the ball is what's curving, but really you're on the rotating object. So your
rotating
measurements
plane
will be skewed by that.
So
yeah, in the case of that GIF you sent me that shows that the disc is rotating, then yeah.
The rotating plane, the airplane's rotating?
No, plane, as in a planar surface, like the disc that you posted in.
Oh my God! I'm telling you, it's like
Hold on, John. Just one more conclusion. So therefore, it would be the thing that actually has something measurable would be the rotation of the plane, as you describe it, not the thing traveling in a straight line. That doesn't have anything measurable. You could measure the thing that's actually turning, that actually is moving.
Right. The apparent deflection is just a property of the fact that the thing you're on is rotating, but the thing you're looking at isn't. But it looks to you like it is deflecting. And if you were to say, I'm still, that's moving, then you could, pretend that that's the actual deflection and that's the actual curvature.
Sorry, you're using these words like pretend. They're very frustrating. Yeah, so my example, to reiterate, would be that the thing that you're saying you can measure hasn't got anything to measure. But the frames required, the necessary bits to have Coriolis, are the thing that you could measure. The non-inertial reference frame, you could take a measurement from that. But the thing you're claiming has a force, in black and white, written by your own hand, doesn't have anything to measure because it's a not actual deflection. Okay.
If you were to plot a 2D grid on that disk, say consider that blue line that's going across it to be like the x-axis or something like that, and then you plotted out a grid and then tried to chart the position of that black ball over time, it would draw a curved line. And you can see that it's the yellow trail that follows the black ball. If you hold the coordinates constant, it looks like that ball is curving. That's what I meant. If you're on the rotating surface, it looks like real curvature. But if you look at it from above, you finally see, wait, no, it isn't.
We don't need it repeated. There's that word again, or words. Looks like. So you're going to measure something and plot out something that looks like it's curving. Because if you look at the ball and what it's actually doing, it isn't curving. Apparent deflection.
Yes. It looks like it's curving. And what I meant by it looks very real is that there's a measurable curve if you were to plot out that trail of the ball.
I'll say it again. The ball is not curving. It's traveling straight. There's nothing to measure in regards to curve because it is not curving.
It's not from the inertial reference frame, but if you only had access to the non-inertial reference frame, if you weren't able to see the bird's eye view of it, and you only saw yourself on the disc and you saw the ball moving, you would think that the ball itself is curving.
Wow, that's a nice summary of the Coriolis effect. That's correct. It looks like apparent, not actually. Yes, that's right. That's the Coriolis effect that you've just detailed. You think that's going to support your argument, just detailing what it actually is? What? A not actual curving of a ball looks like? Yeah, we know.
That's the only thing I wanted to say. That's the only point I was trying to make, is that whether it looks like it's curving or not depends on which reference frame you're in. I had no claims further than that.
So what you're saying is aeroplane travels through the inertial reference frame, and from your position on Earth, it looks like it's curving because the Earth rotates underneath. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that would be the description of the Coriolis force on Earth. The reason why things like planes or something would deflect east or west, or why winds would deflect east or west.
Hold on,
They
John.
don't do that though.
Hold on.
They don't do that though.
Yeah, they don't do that, mate. So what?
Winds going north to south don't
I
deflect
hadn't finished. I got
westward?
3 words out. Obviously, the devastating bit of him now conceding that would be the Coriolis effect on Earth, with planes having a deflection, apparent deflection, because the Earth's rotating underneath them. Yeah, the Earth doesn't rotate underneath planes, mate. We don't have shortened travel with Earth rotating underneath an airplane. Why would you think such nonsense? That's where we undo Earth-based Coriolis.
Wait, when did I claim we'd have shortened?
Yeah. Let's just shut him up while I point out that's where we
did. That's the point of the argument.
Yeah.
Not planes deflecting. That's not the point. We're talking about the frames of reference and why the planes must be shorter, traveling west than east. Go ahead, Nathan. Sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's the conclusion. Of course, he had to talk through it when it came to the punchline. Glad we were both of the same mind. I had him shut down on the line immediately. I knew he'd talk through that. That's the point, mate. Yeah, well, we get to the meat and bones of what Coriolis is and get you to concede that you've got a rotating reference frame with something travelling in a straight line looking like it's deflecting, and we go to Earth and a plane. Yeah? That doesn't happen!
Have you flown a plane from the pole to the equator?
Argument, right?
I used to be a rep. I used to travel. I used to travel daily. I'm going to answer you. Yeah?
Okay.
I used to travel daily on aeroplanes, and it didn't matter which direction I travelled. You didn't get any shortened durations with an Earth turning underneath, my friend. I know that for a fact. We even had one of your own side, Planner Walk, come on and give us an example where he claimed you had shorter durations because the Earth turned underneath, as would absolutely be necessary if you had an Earth-based Coriolis effect. And in reality, he gave us a flight that was longer in the face of the Earth turn, absolutely obliterating any notion whatsoever that the Earth turns underneath planes, as it would absolutely have to if the Earth was turning. It's just not.
My rebuttal to that would be, in all these examples of the Coriolis force, the only time you see deflection is when the ball moves from a pole to something away from the pole. So from the center of rotation to something farther away from the rotation. In the case of just traveling east,
it doesn't stipulate that. Let's shut him up. Incorrect.
Yeah.
Does not cite that in the example and a pictorial example. You don't need the direction. That was John's point that you've just whistled past. Don't need any directions. He asked you to identify the markers that you said were necessitated with east or west, and he said no. Doesn't stipulate any direction, my friend, so long as you've got the 2 necessary components: inertial reference frame, the air, and non-inertial reference frame, the spinning ball Earth. And what's the net effect? Plane travel vastly reduced as the Earth spins underneath. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it really doesn't, man. I don't understand why you guys keep bringing this argument up.
But every time, if you read these definitions of Coriolis force, it happens when you move from a place of low tangential velocity, like the very center of the...
No, it doesn't say that. Cite that shit immediately. Right, shut you up. Cite it immediately. Show us where it says about tangential velocity with the Coriolis effect. Cite it now.
He's off the reservation anyway.
No, I want him to... This is how I'm going to round out the show. He's just made that shit up. He's never going to cite it.
Quote, the horizontal deflection is greater near the poles, since the effective rotation of rotation rate about a local...
All right, chocolate.
Right? What's that?
I want to hear it. Sorry, start again, please, Emerald. Sorry about that.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
The horizontal deflection effect is greater near the poles, since the effective rotation rate about a local vertical axis is largest there and decreases to 0 at the equator. So if you're just on the equator, moving east to west, there is 0 effect of the Coriolis effect. That's from the exact wiki page you cited with the GIF.
Yeah, well, I didn't cite that, did I?
So wiki says there's no Coriolis on the equator. So you're saying the Coriolis effect, according to the Earth-based definition in wiki, says there's no Coriolis effect on the equator? Is that what you're saying?
If you don't move from the equator to something north or south, then yes. Notice that in all these examples, the ball is effectively moving
don't continue.
from
I just need you to say yes. According to wiki, when they example Earth-based Coriolis effect, according to them, there is no Coriolis effect on the equator? Well, their own definition, when used in reference to Earth, makes no sense, because the very definition of Coriolis itself is a deflection. So if they're saying it doesn't happen on the equator when compared to Earth, then they're saying Earth doesn't have a Coriolis effect at the equator.
No, it happens when you move in the direction that's not in the direction of rotation.
Bullshit! There's no direction. I already told you that. I already showed you that.
He whistled past that and then went to a different part of the reference that doesn't make any sense.
You're missing the entire argument. The argument is inertial and non-inertial reference frames. If it's spinning underneath everything in the non-inertial reference frame, then the plane flights must be shorter going west.
That's not true.
It's over right there.
Okay, so you're saying that on the equator, the plane takes off and continues to have the tangential speed of the Earth, and then if it turns north, it starts to experience what exactly?
If it's on the equator and it starts to go north, it'll experience a deflection to the east.
An actual deflection towards the east?
Apparent.
So it's apparently deflecting when it deviates from the equator because the Earth turns underneath if traveling north.
Or the key is not just that it's rotating, it's that the rotational speed at the equator would be faster than the rotational speed when you go up. So if you're at the equator, you're moving at something like 1,000 miles an hour.
Bullshit.
As you continue to go north, the rotation speed of the Earth would be slower, but because you maintain your momentum, you're still going at 1,000 miles an hour. So you start overshooting.
Hold on, John.
Where you're at.
So
that's the fundamental mechanics behind
you just keep babbling.
The fact that the rotation
you keep
is slower
babbling.
in the center, but you
I heard. Can you stop once you've got to the end of your point? Don't just keep going.
I want to finish just one last thing to round out my point. And the point is, if you don't change that speed, so if you don't change your latitude, you don't actually get any deflection because.
Okay,
Here
I heard
he goes
that.
with latitude again.
Yeah, you're
that's
there
not
with
the
latitude.
Coriolis force.
John, hold on. So I'm trying to establish with you, Emerald, but you just don't seem to want to shut up. If you're travelling at the equator with the tangential velocity added to the plane and you start to turn north, you're saying that at that point, someone who was formerly standing at the equator watching the plane not deviate would start to see it deviate from their vantage point on the spinning ball Earth, because the Earth, when it turns north, starts to rotate underneath where it didn't before.
What do you mean by starts to? I'm not sure I understand the question you're asking.
Starts to. According to you, it takes off on the equator and there is no effect. Correct?
Sure.
According to you, when it turns north, it experiences an apparent deflection because the Earth turns underneath. So, it doesn't turn underneath, then it does. Denoted by the word starts. Do you understand English?
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, yeah, I understand your question now. Yes.
So it starts to rotate underneath when it turns north.
You'll start to see the apparent deflection as it starts moving north.
So the Earth will start to rotate underneath the aeroplane when it turns north.
I mean, it'll always be rotating. It'll just appear to deflect once you start going north.
Oh, so it is always rotating underneath at the equator then? Well, that's double speak because you've just declared that it doesn't do that.
I mean, I'm not saying that it appears to be moving at 1,000 miles an hour relative to the plane. I'm saying that it's always still rotating. It's just the plane's at the same speed as it. So say you're at the equator, right?
No, that's where your statement ends. I heard your statement. Now I'd like to reply rather than an endless diatribe that follows it.
I am not at the end of my statement.
Yeah, you are. You've made a clear statement that it does not start to rotate underneath now in your example.
Can I give my example?
I've just clarified it. According to your example, now, the Earth does not start to rotate underneath.
From whose perspective? If I'm on the Earth will never seem to suddenly start rotating. If I'm on the plane, then it will.
Oh, so you think that the plane is now experiencing an actual deflection?
The plane will appear to experience a deflection as it starts moving north. If it never starts moving north, it stays on the equator.
I heard your statement again. The plane will experience an apparent deflection when it turns north. And that would be because the Earth, which wasn't rotating underneath when it was travelling with the Earth, is now rotating underneath when it turned north.
It's not a matter of rotating or not rotating.
Yes, it is. That's precisely what the Coriolis effect is, you double-speaking asshole. Yeah, it's absolutely the definition of Coriolis effect. The only problem with your example is that you start off with the Earth not rotating underneath and have the Earth start rotating underneath when you travel north. Well, that's not very conducive with a Coriolis effect that's absolutely necessitated by a rotating reference frame, my friend. Maybe you'd like to go to the live chat. Maybe you'd like to go to the live chat and tell them all how I've just strawmanned you, as opposed to rip you a pieces. Go on, mate.
I'd rather just finish explaining my example.
Off you go, mate. Go and tell them how I've strawmanned you, or tell them that in fact you're correct and that planes take off with the tangential speed attached, and the Earth doesn't rotate underneath, and then it starts to rotate underneath, causing an apparent deflection when you go north. Yeah?
No.
No, that's right, mate. That doesn't happen. It's complete bollocks. You can't have it rotating underneath in one direction and then start or stop when it changes, my friend. Because that's not what Coriolis effect is. You're just wrong again. Yeah? Being ripped apart by a flat earther who's demonstrating your doublespeak in real time, while you tell us that it starts to rotate underneath when you go north, and people on the rotating non-inertial reference frame can suddenly start to see an apparent deflection where they couldn't before because it was travelling in unison. Well, this is a lot of bollocks that you've just made up on the fly, my friend.
Can I explain my example by myself?
No. I can solve it quick. Hold on just 1 second. During the presentation, it would help if you watched the presentation. I stated that it's been going on for 3.5 years. The ballers think my argument is the Coriolis effect. It's not. My argument is the Coriolis causes. That is the inertial frame of reference and the non-inertial frame of reference. That's my argument. Having a non-inertial frame of reference, the rotating one, and the inertial frame of reference, I can use those causes to prove that flights should take massive amounts of difference of flight time depending on whether they're flying due west or due east. Do you understand now?
I think I see where you're coming from with that point.
Right. That's my point. I'm not talking about the Coriolis effect. We're not talking about apparently deflecting planes. That's not the argument.
No. The argument is that in order to have an Earth-based Coriolis effect, you would need the Earth to rotate underneath the inertial reference frame.
Yes.
And if it rotates underneath the inertial reference frame, absolutely, without question, plane travel would be massively reduced in one direction. And it isn't. Ergo, there is no Earth-based Coriolis effect. It doesn't exist.
Precisely, that's the argument.
Yep. And with that, I'm going to say another huge and massive, enormous thank you to all of today's ball-busting panel for making this after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to everybody who joined from the public Discord server. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate, which you should definitely all join. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next Ball Busters.